Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers reportedly agreed to a 1-year contract, which obviously can't become official quite yet until the new league year begins. But according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Wilson himself has confirmed it, which is, I mean, this is crazy. It's just beginning. This is the beginning. We haven't even gotten to Monday. It's not even Monday yet. Yeah, even on the East Coast, it's not Monday yet. We already have Russell Wilson locking down a new home. What's it mean for the Steelers? What's it mean for Arthur Smith? What's it mean for George Pickens? What's it mean for Najee? What's it mean for Kirk Cousins? What's it mean for the rookie quarterbacks? Because one domino falls, we know a little bit, we have a little bit clearer picture as to where the other dominoes now could fall. I don't know. To be honest with you, my initial reaction is good that we have someone in there that might be able to deliver the football to George Pickens, but with Arthur Smith heading up things, I don't know how confident I can feel in this working out, because this is a delicate flower right here. This is not a guy that's in his right state of mind, completely nurtured and brought back to form in life. This is a guy that's kind of fragile, a fragile Freddy. And now he goes to take instruction from Arthur. I don't know. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news
From
breaks.
the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Tough to really know how to react. You guys, I go live immediately. I don't even have time to digest this stuff sometimes. I just jump. I work for you. I work for you. I work for you. And honestly, I haven't had time to digest it yet. I don't even know what I'm going to say. That's how quickly I go live. But my natural, my genuine knee-jerk reaction, and I could change my mind a little bit, but I feel like my natural knee-jerk reaction is that Russell needed something a little bit safer. I think this is better than nothing. Okay, if I'm a Steeler fan, like Ron Navy in here, I see Ron in here. We'll have Ron calling in a minute. He's gonna go nuts, I'm sure. But if I'm a Steeler fan, I'd rather have Russell Wilson for $1 million than not. Okay, so from a Pittsburgh Steeler angle, from a George Pickens angle, from a Najee Harris angle, from everything Pittsburgh Steeler, even fantasy football players from this Pittsburgh side of the fence, it can't be bad to have another option. Kenny Pickett's not it. You know, and not to mention Kenny Pickett's not it, but Kenny Pickett with Arthur Smith is absolutely not it. And maybe Russell Wilson will be not it as well. Maybe everybody craps the bed hardcore because of Arthur Smith, because of how Tomlin's handled everything. Matt Canada's vanilla offense, allowing that to take place for as long as it did. Now you bring in Arthur Smith. Clearly Tomlin doesn't know exactly what he's doing. I could care less about winning seasons. I care about what he does at the end of the day. Tomlin takes big dumps in the postseason or at the end of the day. Okay? He may hold it in all year, get a winning season, and then he lets his dump out right all over the place. That's what Tomlin does. He did it with Canada. Now I believe he's doing it again on repeat, rinse and repeat with Arthur freaking Smith. What a debacle. So make no mistake about it. Do I think that Russell succeeds here? He may not. But if you're a Steeler fan, how can you not try for $1 million? Because guess what the Denver Broncos are doing? They're paying for him. They're paying for him. 39 mil? I believe it's $39 million, $38 million. The Broncos are on the hook for $38 million. They're paying him $38 million. The Steelers are going to pay him what we believe to be about $1 million, I don't know, 1.3, whatever it is. I believe it's 1.3. Let me see if I can find the. It's according to Schefter, 1.2. Okay, $1.2 million is essentially what it's going to cost. From a Steelers perspective, this ain't bad. You might as well take a shot. You're probably going to fail with both Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett in a almost as bad as Matt Canada type of mindset that's going to take place here under Tomlin's command over Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith? I don't care if Arthur Smith had success once upon a time. We just saw the man not value Bijan Robinson as even his number 2 goal line back. I don't want to hear what he did in Tennessee. I don't want to hear what he's done before. I don't want to hear any of that. If you want to take a gamble on Arthur Smith, go ahead. By all means, have fun. Steelers country, let's ride. Take it into the sunset. We'll wave at you as you go straight down. Is it better? Yes. Will it work? I don't know, and I don't think so. Because this guy is a delicate flower at this point. He kind of feels like Justin Fields in that Fields can't go back to Chicago. Fields can't go back to Chicago. Russell Wilson can't go to Arthur Smith. These are delicate flowers that need to be replanted, rewatered, nurtured to revive back into even close to their old form. The same thing could be said about Justin Fields. I'm not trying to act like one thing isn't true and the other is completely different. They're the same. Do I like Fields more than Russell Wilson? I do. But do I think Russell Wilson could crack? Do I think Russell Wilson could absolutely fall flat on his face if he goes somewhere that's not good for him? Absolutely 100%. Wilson and Fields both need to go to the ideal situation. They need to go to situations that, in the case of Fields, you build offense around him. You have somebody totally, like Todd Monken in Baltimore, built everything around Lamar. And he understands what he has, and he doesn't want to change him. Justin Fields needs to find a home, and it's not Chicago, under this horrible coaching staff that's going to all get fired by next year. Mark my words. Chicago entire staff, gone. If Ryan Poles drafts Caleb, he might buy himself a year. If Ryan Poles keeps Fields and fails with him, which he will because of Shane Waldron, then he's gone. Back to Russell Wilson. It's a 1-year deal. $1.2 million, probably. Obviously, nothing can be completed yet. We're awaiting the new league year to begin. Now let's talk about fantasy-wise. Am I going near him in even a backup capacity in fantasy football? Hell no. Hell no, I'm not going near Russell Wilson in a Arthur Smith-led attack. Not to mention, who knows if he even wins the job. Like, he'll probably be given a lot of, I would say, like, confidence to be the starter. But who knows if he's even the starter, because he's getting paid $1.2 million. I don't know. Okay, so what's the bigger impact? The bigger impact is where these other quarterbacks are going to go. If we pull up the Justin Fields board and we take a look at these landing spots and we say to ourselves, okay, now the Steelers aren't in play for Fields. Now we know that there are certain landing spots that can't have, obviously, Russell Wilson, and they might be more eager to go after Fields. I venture to say Fields' value goes up in this situation because I don't think Fields was really in play in Pittsburgh anyway. Had Russell Wilson gone to Atlanta, had Russell Wilson gone to the Commanders, had Russell Wilson gone to a place where we believe it's possible for Fields to go, this could have been a kick to the nuts of the value and trade potential of Justin Fields. But now that we have a piece off the board that wasn't even Fields' related that absorbs Russell Wilson, that ups the value of Fields. That quite arguably ups the value of Fields and the demand for Fields. The supply and demand game just got a little bit better for Justin Fields because of this move. I would have been okay with Russell Wilson in Atlanta. I would have been okay with Russell Wilson in a few landing spots. The Raiders would have been kind of nice. Russell Wilson, not sure what he's got left long term, but for a year or two with Devontae Adams, could have been okay. Now, Fields will be a little bit more of a hot commodity. One QB, one domino's fallen, and we're going to start hearing more buzz about a guy that everyone's saying nobody cares about, no one's interested. I'm hearing from little birdies that Fields, nobody wants him, nobody's in play for it, nobody thinks he's that good. Just wait. This domino knocks over more dominoes. That's why they say the first domino has fallen, because it's just a cascading effect. And free agency is just getting started, and it's not even started yet. It's crazy. This is crazy. We're sitting here about, what is it? Is it midnight Eastern yet? The daylight savings kick in, or is that tomorrow morning? Is that right now? Did daylight savings kick in like right now? I believe maybe it did. So it would be Eastern time, right? Is that correct? I'm very excited for the fact that now Fields is available to other teams at maybe a higher demand. I believe that the Falcons are going to go hardcore at Kirk Cousins. I think Fields is certainly in their grasp, and they'll go that direction if Kirk decides he wants to stay with Minnesota. There was another report today that the Vikings are in communication with them, but they fully believe, and this coming from head coach, fully believe that Kirk Cousins wants to explore free agency to the fullest. He wants to know what's out there for him 100%. So Fields will entertain these other options and not just quickly close the door and re-sign. I mean, he could, you never know. He could have already had some conversations. He could have already tested the waters a little bit. He could realize that maybe I don't want to go that route. Maybe my first attempt to leave made me feel like I don't want to do this. I'm going back to Minnesota. You never know. You never know, but I do believe that Cousins is very much in play for Atlanta, but Fields is too. I believe the Commanders are probably very much in play for Fields, but they're obviously looking to draft a rookie. But if these teams are smart, we've said it over and over, the absolute blueprint here to transforming your team overnight for two of these teams is still on the table. And I don't know why we're not hearing a single word about it. Washington, draft Marvin Harrison Jr., trade for Justin Fields. New England, draft Marvin Harrison Jr., trade for Justin Fields. Chicago should be doing the same damn thing, but I don't know that polls is actually going to do it. I don't care what we're hearing about Fields' value. Polls, I believe, will draft Caleb Williams. So let's say that's off the table. Washington, New England, Arizona's got Kyler. Chargers have Herbert. None of that's going to stand in the way. I know I got a few of you are trying to call in yet. I'm in the middle of the monologue. I don't really answer the phone at the very onset of the show when we're going into this. So I saw Ron Navy dialing in. Josh, call in just 1 second. When I open the phone lines, I want Josh and Ron Navy to dial in. But for right now, hang tight. Hang tough. Okay, Josh? Real quickly. I want to say this. I want to say that Arizona, the Chargers, the Giants aren't smart. I don't know if they're smart enough. I don't know if they're smart enough to trade for Justin Fields because they're just going to feel like we got Danny Dimes. We're just going to sit on this for a little bit. Like any team that needs a quarterback should be drafting, and the same thing applies for Neighbors and Odunze to a degree, right? You trade for Justin Fields and you bring in Odunze or Neighbors. I don't care about Danny Dimes. I don't care what your dumb contract says about Danny Dimes either. I don't care about that. If you brought me in and somebody said, "Here, Smitty, come look at this Excel sheet right here on line item number 75. It says Danny Dimes is going to have a dead cap of so-and-so. Or if we keep him as a glorified backup, people might say something, Smitty, because this is how much we're paying him." Throw your Excel sheet away, Eric, is what I'd say. Pack your bags and get out of my office, too. You're fired. Because we don't allow Excel sheet Erics in this building. We draft based on talent. We start players based on talent. The New York Giants could draft Neighbors or Odunze and trade for Fields. The Falcons could draft Odunze and trade for Fields. Or sign Kirk Cousins and draft Odunze. That's fine too. New England and Washington are the two teams that should be doing this. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Russell Wilson agrees to terms, even though you can't even do anything yet, right? This is, hey, the tampering period, the free agency, nothing can happen yet. Remember when I went live the other day and I said Justin Fields, potentially Atlanta, it's looking like it's getting close. Josh, hold on 1 second. It looks like it's getting close. And everybody said in the comments, Smitty, New League year isn't here yet. They can't even do a deal. What fake news? This is what happens. This is how the NFL works. Learn about it. Okay, Josh and then Ron Navy. Josh, thank you for waiting so long. You're live, Josh. Go ahead. Because I know Ron's going to go off on a long tangent, so I want to get Josh out of the way real quick. Josh, go real quick.
Yo, Smitty, what's up? Thanks for having me on.
What's
Sorry
up?
about that.
What do you got here?
How you been?
What do you hear? What do you say?
Oh, yeah, so I'm a Broncos fan, so obviously pretty thrilled about this move.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Finally
Paying
getting rid of
$38 million.
the bad curse.
You're paying this guy $38 million.
Yeah, but that's pennies on the dollar. I mean, come on, Smitty. What's $38 million to a billionaire owner, you know?
A lot, because there's a cap. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, right?
No,
but,
it's not.
You know, to the billionaire like the owner, I'm sure he's not sweating too much, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, hit me with it.
You know, I just want to say I'm pretty excited for what the future looks like for the Broncos.
And what's that look like?
You know, I think what it looks like is we're going to go after a vet like Jimmy G or Kirk Cousins, Watson.
Yeah.
Maybe we go after Danny Dimes, one of these experienced vets who could kind of lead us to
finish him.
You know, potentially a wild card and hopefully rally to the Super Bowl.
Terminator.
You know, on a good year.
Joe, if you mention Jimmy G as a starter, you just get hung up on. Josh, get back in line. Let's go to Ron Navy. Ron Navy, you're live. Ron, keep the swear words and the family-friendly mindset. Go ahead.
I'm not doing no swear words.
Are you? I'm sure you're excited, but also just
Pull up. Look at the screenshot I sent you and look at what it reads. It says Pittsburgh's paying him $38 million for 1 year. That's my big thing. Is that a misprint? Because that's what it says.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have yours. No. I don't have
an IG. Just pull it up.
Well, I don't have that in front of me at the moment, but no, I don't know who's reporting that. The Denver Broncos are on the hook for $38 million.
No, that's the report. It quoted Adam Schefter, and it said Pittsburgh will pay $38 million.
They're wrong.
$38 million.
They're wrong. I'll come back and eat crow if it ends up being the reverse, but no, everyone's reporting it. Got an NBC Sports report right here. Adam Schefter. Plus, we knew this anyway. This is going into the thing. We knew that he'd be paid $1.2 million. He's practically free to go play for a team in 2024. But even right here from the NBC Sports, no, $38 million is Wilson's salary, and that's being that's the Broncos are on the hook for that astronomical amount of $38 million word for word. So don't worry about that. But tell me how you feel about Russell Wilson under a Tomlin / Arthur Smith situation.
Well, it was the $38 million. When I read that,
trust me,
you'll see that's the part that really irritated me.
You're not paying that.
You're not going to pay this $8 million for 1 year.
That's not the case. So move on from that. Tell me what you think about the thing.
I said in the last time that I called it, I said they'd be stupid. Any team would be stupid not to get Russell Wilson for $1 million or around $1 million. Pay him $1 million, bring him in. And I said that included the Steelers. So, I mean, he's going to be there. Maybe he'll push Pickett. Maybe he'll get the starting job. Who knows? But I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not against Russell Wilson.
Okay, like I said at the top, I think that if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, if you're a George Pickens owner, if you're a Najee Harris owner, if you're any one of these owners, or you're just a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, there's no harm in hoping this works out. Like, you're better off with 2 quarterbacks than you are 1. And I believe Russell Wilson still has an immense amount of talent. I think a lot of it's just going to be up here and in here. Because he feels probably a little heartbroken the way Josh's Denver Broncos organization,
You got
who
that
should, who Josh, your organization should be stripped of your first round pick. You shouldn't have a first round pick,
debatable.
Josh. You know why?
By the way, I think I got caught in an elevator and we lost connection.
Yeah, you did. You got in a Jimmy G elevator and you got hung up on. Hey, Josh, let me tell you something, pal. Let me tell you something. Okay, your team should be stripped of your first round draft selection for the way you try to circumvent and illegally blackmail or extort Russell Wilson out of his injury clause, or you're going to bench him. He starts playing good football.
I can't take anything serious from a Cardinals fan.
And your head coach, Josh, your head coach asked Russell Wilson to take away and rescind his injury clause, or they'd bench him. That's despicable. Do you really not agree?
Until proven guilty.
Do you really not?
Until proven guilty.
It's already been. Okay, Josh, we're done with Josh. I thought Josh was going to be serious. He doesn't know what he's doing.
It was already. That's what they did.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, let's go over to Travis Rowe. Travis Rowe, you're live. What do you think? Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh. Was this circus day? What's going on here?
Hey, I'll call back in like 5 minutes. I got to call you back.
Okay.
Sorry.
What's going on here? All right, thanks, Travis. Let's go over to Marsman Purdue. Can you bring some sanity to the phone line? We got Ron calling in, trying to tell us that he's read some backwards report about that has it all. Somebody rushed a typo version out. I've got Josh calling in about Jimmy G. Can I get a serious take here, Marsman Purdue? What are you thinking here? What do you hear? What do you say?
Absolutely, Smitty. You know, initially when I thought about the prospect of Russell Wilson going to the Steelers, made my stomach turn as a Steeler fan, because I'm thinking of all the memes where Russ is cooking and you're looking at a bowl of Cheerios with a hot dog and a American cheese sliced in there. And I just didn't like it. But honestly, this news gets me a little bit excited, because it sounds like the con artist is at work here. It sounds like he got us a good deal, and I like the idea of having Russ in the fold. I like the idea of him possibly helping develop Kenny Pickett, or who knows? I mean, Russ when he was in Seattle with that good defense, I mean, you know, they did good things. So possibly there could be something there that maybe could inject life into Russell Wilson's career. I thought he was kind of washed and done, but
you know what sucks,
I'm looking forward to this, actually.
You know what sucks, though? This is the part that really gets me. Is like, example, Fields going back to Chicago and they draft a Dunze. It potentially could be so beautiful. But then you have Shane Waldron brought in as OC instead of a Kingsbury or a Kellen Moore. Like, just ridiculous. So it's like, no matter what they do, they're setting themselves up for failure. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have openly said if they bring in Russell Wilson and they don't have Arthur Smith as OC, they have a much more aggressive, offensive, air raid, air it out type thinker that didn't just go and crap the bed all over Atlanta's situation, then I'd actually really like the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. I really would. It's just such a shame that Russell Wilson and all this talent is going to be potentially held back from Arthur Smith, and all this talent over in Chicago is going to be held back by Shane Waldron, which you guys can say what you want about what he did with Geno. I don't care. These are two very complex situations that need an expert to come in, like an Arsenal expert, an air raid expert, somebody that could come in and say, Caleb, I got you. Let's build a conglomerate. Hey, Justin Fields, I can fix you. I'm a coaching therapist, and I can take care of this. Shane Waldron is not that man. He may not be awful. He may not be a bad guy. He may not even be a bad OC. He did okay. But this is not a guy that was Seattle just had to. This guy was available to go march around and find a new home, and this is where they land. The Chicago Bears. I just feel the same way. Like on the surface level, you take Arthur Smith out. I like it. I just don't know that Arthur Smith's going to allow it to work. So it's like,
I don't
know.
I did not like the Arthur Smith situation in Pittsburgh, but I'm hoping, praying on my knees, praying that, him as a coordinator is a whole different situation as him as a head coach. I do like the fact, though, that we did not get Justin Fields. I think I'm not really a Justin Fields believer yet. I still need to see more to be truly convinced. And for the price that it would have cost, I mean, never mind the draft pick, but just the salary implications and all that, I think we maybe avoided a potentially, landmine situation that could have blown up really bad in our face. Whereas I think the Russell Wilson thing, if the numbers that I'm hearing, is accurate and not what Ron is alluding to, then I think that's a great situation for us. A very friendly.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Exactly.
Even with Arthur Smith, it's a no-brainer. But the part I love about it, I don't think it'll work out at the end of the day. Is there a small percentage chance Arthur Smith goes back to his, Derrick Henry OC, coaching days and does that? Yeah, maybe. But I kind of feel like we got a good taste of what he's not good at doing, which is everything all around. As an OC, he's still got to make a decision on who his best players are. If he doesn't know that Bijan's not only his number one running back, but he doesn't even view him as his second goal line option, how can we trust anything he's going to do at all? No matter what he did in the past, it feels like he is who he is right now. We can't judge him on years and years ago. And what he did with Algier was impressive. I give you that. And I was even convinced, and I admit this, and I think everybody was, that they ran the ball, I believe it was 569 times, number one in the NFL during Algier's rookie year 2 years ago. And we thought, okay, they're spending a number eight overall pick on Bijan. They gotta want to play him. They gotta want to use him, right? It was logical. It all made sense, but it didn't work out, and I just can't trust him. And again, if I'm a Steelers fan, why not try? But the thing I love about this, like I said, that makes the most sense for me to even break down from a pros and cons perspective and talking about the pros of this signing that is, 8 degrees of separation away from Pittsburgh, is how it now makes Fields more of a hot commodity. I disagree with you about Fields versus Russell. I'd much rather have Fields over Russell Wilson by a landslide. But the problem is exactly what I said, though. Exactly what I said, though. Fields in Chicago, Fields in Pittsburgh, he's going to fail there. So I'm kind of glad the quarterback that went to Pittsburgh, no offense, Ron, put your earmuffs on, the quarterback that went to Pittsburgh was not the one I want to excel next year. So if he would have went to Pittsburgh, I would have had just as much concern over this, and I would have been like, damn it. I even told Ron this. If Fields goes to Pittsburgh, I will not be drafting him as a fantasy football starting quarterback. If he goes to Atlanta, I will. Maybe not in every league, but
Smitty, just to touch on that Bijan situation, I honestly think that Bijan situation is the team knowing that, hey, we're not going to be going, on a major run here. We're not going deep. Let's preserve the tread on the tires with Bijan. Make sure he doesn't get hurt and start. It's almost like a rebuild. They're planning on rebuilding already. So why put your star running back, 300 carry or whatever, how many carries to?
I don't think so, bro.
Overload them and
maybe a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit
from the owner.
Yeah,
I think that's coming from the owner, to be honest. And
I mean, I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that, but the way that this all went down, I don't know, man. I think that Arthur Smith was trying to keep his job, so he was going to play whoever was going to get him there. But anyway, let's go over to Travis Rowe, who's back.
Yeah.
Hang tight, Purdue. You can sit there on hold, and I'll go back to Ron Navy. Travis Rowe, you're live. Welcome back.
Hey, Smitty. Sorry about that. I spilled my spaghetti all over the floor, so I had to pick it up.
You crapped your bed like Arthur Smith?
Yeah, pretty much.
What do you think here?
Well, real quick on that Bijan thing. I don't agree with that only because I think the Falcons are a quarterback away from being like a pretty good playoff team. So
Exactly, yeah.
I don't agree on that. I think this is like kind of best case scenario for the Steelers if they were going to keep Pickett and they have Arthur Smith. You know, at the worst, it pushes Pickett a little bit, but I think Wilson comes and takes a job pretty easily. I could be wrong.
You know what I would have loved though, if and you can't because you got to have him on a 1-year deal because you're, you know. I mean, I guess you could technically franchise tag him next year, but I believe that there wouldn't be anything holding them back from that. But the problem is that I believe you need to get rid of Arthur Smith. And if he goes out and craps the bed and they get rid of him,
Right.
then all of a sudden I'm back in on, hey, what's this look like now? Then again, though, like one more failed year for him and he might not be able to be brought back. I don't know. It's a tough one. But my favorite part about this whole thing is just that it makes Fields more of a hot commodity for the teams that were likely going after him anyway, because I don't think Pittsburgh and Fields were a match anyway. And so now all these teams that were maybe contemplating Russell Wilson and they weren't racing to get Fields, or they're not, that now they might be. Could the Bears draft Caleb and have Russell Wilson and trade him after the draft? It certainly could happen. The Cardinals did it with Kyler and Josh Rosen. The problem with that is it devalues the player's trade market value quite a bit, but it is what it is. I don't think they're going to detour their plan. They're going to try and get rid of him. They're going to draft Caleb Williams, the Bears will at 1.1, and then if they can get rid of him on draft day, it might be for a lot less than they want, but it gives them a chance to move on. You know, and they've already said they want to do right by him. They're not going to necessarily, I think, hold on to him, create a controversy. The last thing they can afford is have Fields behind Caleb. I promise you they're not having both of them. I can promise you that. There's no way it'd be healthy for Caleb to have Fields sitting behind him or vice versa. It just wouldn't be good. You got to get rid of him. And if you could only get a third rounder on draft day, then you can only get a third rounder. But I'm telling you right now, I won't be that shocked. Because teams were just as dumb not going after Lamar Jackson. Not one team decided to go after him, which makes me scratch my head every time I repeat it. But I can't imagine a team's not going, one of these teams, even the Raiders, you know, who I said they're probably not likely going to get him because Getsy was the OC in Chicago last year, and it didn't work. But even the Raiders would be like, you know what? Third rounder. It's almost as cheap as Russell Wilson's $1 million contract. To get Fields for a third rounder feels as reasonable as going and getting Russell Wilson for $1 million. That's how it feels to me. And you know who might be a player in this that we're not thinking of? At least it should be. Let me rephrase that. I don't know that it will be, but it should be. Miami. Like why? Why would Miami go get Justin Fields? Why? What's this Tua Tagovailoa fascination that Miami Mike has? He's one hit away from never playing another game. Now, he escaped, all injury last year. I'm not saying he can't walk away from concussions and never have one again. It's certainly the curious case of concussions. Brandon Cooks was a walking concussion. Every couple weeks he'd get a concussion. And it's like, oh my God. And he hasn't had one for years. So, I mean, anything can happen. But good God, Miami? Why not? Why not? Seattle? Why not? Let me go back to Ron Navy real quick, or go Travis real quick, and then back to Ron. And the phone lines are open.
At the beginning of the offseason, it was like, well, if you bring him in, he has to be your starter.
Phone line.
Well, not that I agree with it or you agree with it, but if this narrative has actually switched on Fields and they're not getting the picks they want, this or that, or if he goes for a third or fourth or a fifth, you can bring him in with another quarterback now.
Yeah.
I don't know that works, but teams can do that. There's more flexibility is all I'm saying.
There's just so many teams that need a quarterback, though. I know some of those problems will be solved on draft day. I get all that. I mean, there's great quarterbacks in this draft. So let's just go through it. Say Caleb goes to Chicago, JD5 goes to Washington, Drake May goes to New England. We're just filling in spots, right? New York Giants. Let's say the New York Giants take. Let's say they take Penix Jr. Let's just say it. No, McCarthy. Let's say they take McCarthy. It seems like a Giants move. You go Danny Dimes, you go McCarthy. I'm not saying McCarthy's garbage, but it feels like a Giants move. Questionably high. People kind of maybe jump on the gun on his value. Giants take McCarthy. I'm just trying to fill in as many quarterbacks as I can to see if we can find a home for Fields. Atlanta, let's say they go Kirk Cousins. And now you got Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, right? So you got Bo Nix or Penix Jr. to Minnesota, the other one to Denver. That leaves us, good God. I mean, it is kind of thinning out. Las Vegas, and then you've got these teams like you said that have somebody like Seattle, but I would do it anyway. I'd make Geno a backup immediately. Pittsburgh's now got Russell Wilson. Crap, man. It is kind of a problem. But
yeah, I mean, especially if Kirk signs, if he signs in the next week or two. Well, he'll sign probably this week, I would guess. That's one more team down.
Yeah,
whoever signs him isn't bringing in Field.
I mean, it really
interesting.
But there are still two. Like let's say the Raiders. I think as much as I said earlier, the Raiders wouldn't be in play. The Raiders are going to be very interested once all these quarterbacks have nestled themselves into their new homes and they don't have their option they want. Then the Raiders on the clock, maybe make a move or do something. Yeah, Minnesota if they don't get Cousins back. But they might go Nix or Penix Jr. Denver might go Nix or Penix Jr. So like I was saying, then you end up having a situation where it's really just the Raiders and and like that's it. Like you have maybe Seattle, you have maybe Miami. That's it. Maybe New Orleans, maybe, but those are maybes. There's only one team left. Once all these QBs get filled in here, you only have one team left. So again, we're gonna go Caleb. We're gonna go JD5. We're gonna go Drake May. We're just filling them in. McCarthy, Kirk Cousins, Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, and then it's Las Vegas, and that's it. And if Minnesota, Denver, whichever one doesn't, let's say one of those guys trades for Fields, then Las Vegas would get the other quarterback. Then it's New Orleans. Like, is New Orleans smart enough to say Derek Carr is not the answer? We all know that. We are. Some of us were hopeful that he could, somehow get revived, but he's not. He'll barely stay on the field. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to come down to like, I don't know. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to find it will be harder for him to find a home when you really pencil out these rookies.
A couple of these teams are laying in the weeds though too. Like that. A couple of these teams may like him a lot more than what's in the draft right now that they could get. And
for sure. And that's what we bank on, right? That a team says, look, I like this guy McCarthy, but come on, give me Fields. And I know a lot of people watching, the comments will show. People will be like, Fields is trash. And I get a lot of people feel that way. And that's fine. And maybe a couple of these teams will feel the same way, and that's fine. That's a difference of opinion. But I've got to think some of these teams don't view Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and McCarthy better than Fields. So you make a good point, and that's what we need to happen. But then that might make that could make I think New Orleans and Las Vegas, Denver, Minnesota. If let's say Cousins went to Atlanta, push comes to shove. I think New Orleans isn't passing on a QB like Bo Nix or Penix Jr. Seattle's not. So if Fields does get traded to one of these teams, then all the quarterbacks won't slip either in the draft. Those guys will get consumed by a Seattle type. Okay, let me flip around real quick. I'm going to go back to Ron Navy. Then I'm going to go to Michael Zastro, who's been waiting patiently. Then to Ethan. Then back to Purdue. So Ron Navy, the floor is yours. You're live. Hello.
All right. Yeah, I'm here. I had to come off mute.
Oh. What's up?
Here's the thing: is Cousins has until Wednesday. Minnesota has until Wednesday. Cousins is supposed to let him know tomorrow what his intentions are as far as going for free agency. But Minnesota has a deal in place. His contract doesn't run out until Wednesday, so they have till Wednesday. So even if he, as of tomorrow, gets the feelers out there and stuff, they still have an option. Even let's say Atlanta offers him something, they can contradict that. But if he does go to Atlanta, because I think that's the only place he would go, I agree. I think Fields has a hard time finding a starting job, except for I think the thing that makes the most sense to me is New England. He goes to New England, and New England uses their third-round draft pick to pick up Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense if I'm thinking
like
New
winning.
England. Yeah, I mean, you bring in Fields and you draft Marvin Harris, as you know, because New England doesn't have any top receivers. We know that.
Yeah. It's the only move. It's the only logical move for Washington and New England. But I don't hear anything, and it could be, as Travis said, late in the weeds, kind of stealth-like, camouflaged. You don't want people to know your hand. But I haven't heard anything at all that makes me think these two teams, Washington and New England, are going to pounce on the best opportunity I think there is in the entire 2024 offseason, which is Harrison Jr. Fields. Harrison Jr. and Fields. And both these teams are the only ones positioned to do it exactly the way that they're positioned to do it, because you know that whoever's drafting one is going quarterback, and you know that if Fields is being retained, then I don't think they go Marvin Harrison this high. They probably trade down slightly, and then the team that trades up is going quarterback. So these two teams, it's Field if. It's all dependent on if they keep Fields or not. If they get rid of Fields, then these teams can pounce on this opportunity. I don't understand, because this reminds me so much of the Lamar Jackson situation. I don't understand how, and maybe I'm proven wrong that they do get it, but all of these teams don't see the value in Justin Fields for a second rounder, a third, whatever it costs. I don't get it. If I had, I'd give up a future conditional first rounder, which means he'd have to earn it, right? You're not going to give it up unless he ends up delivering. But I would do something that crazy and say, look, if he busts on us, we're not giving you a thing. I'll give you a third rounder that turns into a first rounder if we win a playoff game. Like something conditional that makes you say he earned his keep. We are happy to retroactively pay you. You just handed us a league winner. That's what the conditional part means. So anybody saying, "Oh, first rounder can't happen," no way. Conditional first rounder, Bob. Conditional. But Ron,
conditional thing, yeah, but I don't think. I don't know
if the condition's gonna bust, they know it.
But if the condition, if they don't meet the condition, then you don't pay a thing. You pay whatever. It could even be a fourth round conditional. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Just say, if this works out, we'll be glad to go back and pay you what he deserved, because clearly you gave us a good product. If he busts, then no one cares. Like you don't even give up anything. What, a third rounder?
Right.
Like it would be a no-brainer to do the conditional piece. And the problem for the Bears is they're gonna have to accept something crazy if they want to go down the Caleb road. They've already made their bed. Ryan Poles has already not supported Fields publicly time and time again. He goes crawling back to Fields. Fields is gonna be, the relationship's gonna be damaged. He's gonna feel second best. You don't have the right OC there. It's gonna botch. Belichick, seriously, to my Falcons. Smitty, help me understand. What do you mean, Kevin? I don't know what you're talking about. I can't help you understand. I don't know what that means. Let's go over it real quickly. Let's go over to Michael Zastro, who's been waiting for a while. Michael, what's up? You're live.
Hey, Smitty. I know you're really high on Fields. I just don't see how he could have any ceiling going anywhere. I mean, I would rather have Russ and the Steelers over Fields. I don't think he's even going to be a starter in 2 years from now.
But what do you mean? But what do you mean you don't see how he has any upside? You don't see upside in Fields at all?
I think any team that trades for him anytime he has a bad game, they're just going to pull him. He can't even stay
No.
healthy.
I don't agree with that. I appreciate you, Michael. You know I do, but I mean, clearly I don't agree with that. I think Fields is a absolute underrated, mistreated, broken quarterback, Michael. Broken. That's why you heard me say that if he stays in Chicago with Shane Waldron, he's going to bust. So
I think Kirk Cousins has a better upside.
But I'm not arguing that necessarily. I'm arguing that there are a lot of teams here that won't have Kirk Cousins, obviously, right? That are in play here. Only one team can have him. And once he's off the board, these other teams should be looking at Fields. And in the right system, if you build around him, and maybe some of these teams, that's going to be the problem. I don't want to change my offense. He doesn't fit into my scheme. That's going to be part of the problem. But you put him in Atlanta, Michael, he's going to go nuts, man. He's going to go bonkers. This is a really talented quarterback that has not been coached properly. And he's at a very, very fragile tipping point. And I'm admitting this to you, and I'm proving it to you that I feel this way by telling you that if Fields stays in Chicago with Shane Waldron and this Eberflus and this entire staff mixed with polls and the decision making that's going on, he will bust in Chicago. Because if not just because the relationship's already broken. You can't shop your quarterback, not get it done, come back and say we're going to keep you. It's broken. It's broken, and Shane Waldron's not the answer. So, Michael, you're not wrong that it's shaky, but you put him in the right scenario, he's going to flourish, man. He's going to explode. You can revive him, but it's a very short window. You're not going to be able to do this 2 years from now. Look at Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's a perfect example. Does anybody on the phone line, can anybody on the phone line say that Watson at one point wasn't elite? He was a monster in Houston. He was absolutely a rising star. But like Josh Gordon,
he led the league in yards.
Like Deshaun Watson, you sit out a certain amount of football, or in Fields' case, you don't get developed and you just get your growth stunted. You're going to miss your window. You're going to have cobwebs built all over you, whether you're sitting or you're going to lose your edge. Look at Trey Lance. Trey Lance was a much better prospect as a rookie than when he finally got shoved into the lineup because he just didn't. He lost his edge, and people could say Trey Lance was going to bust all along. He busted because of Shanahan, and I feel like the same thing it's a tipping point, Michael. It's a tipping point. If you get Fields into a good spot, he'll flourish, man. But now's the time. Now's the time.
I agree, but I just feel like you're putting too many eggs in one basket in Atlanta. What if he doesn't go to Atlanta? Where do you see him flourishing otherwise?
I'm putting too many eggs in one basket in Atlanta. What do you mean?
Fields most likely is not going to go to Atlanta. So where else could he go? And where else do you see him having success?
Okay, so you're not talking about Atlanta. You're talking about okay. You're saying that if he goes somewhere else. Okay, so if he goes, let's say, to Minnesota, I mean, you're throwing a JJ, bro. He goes to Denver. I don't really like it. Denver's as bad as Chicago. Las Vegas, he's got Adams. He's got a lot of nice weapons there. Seattle, he'd be great in Seattle. Again, Miami's probably not in play, but that would be amazing. I think the only places I don't like him would be Denver, and I don't even mind him in New York because Dable could cultivate him. You know, and if you draft Neighbors or Dunze immediately and you trade for Fields, if anything, New York is in just as good a position as Washington and New England. Because even though they won't get Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 6, they'll get a Dunze or Neighbors or Bowers. And you couple that with Fields, with Dable, glory. So the only place I don't like him, the only place, Michael, would be Denver and Chicago. Every other landing spot on the board, New England even, because they can draft Marvin Harrison Jr., Washington, because they can draft Marvin Harrison Jr., New York, because they can draft a Dunze or Neighbors or Bowers, Atlanta, because he's got one of the most exciting offenses in the National Football League. It's just waiting for the engine, bro. It's the most glorious vehicle with the best wheels and rims and interior in the history of I think, vehicles that doesn't have an engine. You know, and in every other spot here, Minnesota, that'd be great. Him and JJ would connect all day long. It's only Denver and Chicago I don't like. And even Chicago will be okay for like a Dunze if they draft a Dunze at 9 and they keep Fields. I mean, a Dunze is going to get a lot of footballs thrown his way. I just don't love the instability that's going to be there because Fields will fail probably in Chicago under the pressures and cracked relationship and Shane Waldron's command. So I like him, bro. I like him almost anywhere except for Denver.
I think you're going to have one heck of a show come Wednesday because I think Wednesday we'll know about Cousins.
Yeah.
We'll know if he's going to sign Atlanta or we'll know if he's going to be with Minnesota still. One of those two because he's not going anywhere else. He's either going to Atlanta or he's staying in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance of that, but I think that as even his own head coach said and as all the reports have said that he wants to test free agency. So I don't know if that means that he wants to go get wined and dined and feel special at a couple places, but at the end of the day, he knows he wants to go back or he knows that he wants to go to Atlanta. And going to another couple locations, Ron, will certainly up the price. You know what I mean? Like if he just goes to Atlanta and signs or goes to Atlanta and then goes, no, okay, I'm going to go back. Then he doesn't get the value cranked up. The more spots he goes to, the more likely he's going to be able to play this thing out.
Washington was also in talked about it being in the mix, but I don't see him wanting to. I mean, if he's making the decision, I don't see him back to Washington. He wants to go somewhere where if he's leaving, he wants to go where he can get making the playoffs.
Hey, Chris, this is cute. Chris says Fields to Atlanta plus the third rounder for the number 8. It's not happening, Chris, because the interest isn't there like it should be. Like, Chris, you're not wrong for thinking he should be valued that way, but no one's valuing him that way. So it's a cute idea, but it's absolutely fairy tale land. You're not going to sniff a first rounder, let alone a top 10 pick, bro. No matter how many third rounders you throw back, it's not even possible. It's cute though, Chris. It's also funny that it's always a Chicago fan that thinks they're going to get the world for Fields. So like, it's always a Chicago fan, a Chicago avatar, and I appreciate you, Chris. No shade thrown your way or anything. But blinders, you have a couple blinders on right now. Take those goggles off. It's always like a Chicago fan will be in here going, we're not giving up Fields unless it's a first. It's like, get ready, because the interest doesn't seem to be there. Jack says Kirk to New Orleans. I don't think he has any interest in going to the New Orleans Saints. I think he has zero interest going to the New Orleans Saints, but crazier things have happened.
Somebody said in the chat that they're concerned about Cousins' Achilles injury, but you got to remember, he's not a running back. He's a pocket quarterback. So that injury doesn't concern me because he doesn't need that explosion that other like running backs need.
It's definitely easier to not re-tear or tear the other one. Rather, the bigger concern would be to tear the other Achilles. That's always what happens when players rush back. He's rushing back. He's 100% rushing back. So does Aaron Rodgers. So did Cam Akers. Because the Achilles is naturally a full year before you even really get to close to full form recovery process. And all these guys, and it includes ACL tears now and everything, everyone's rushing back. There's no, medicine's advanced so great that the Achilles tears can, no harm, no foul. You can be back right away. It is going to put his body at risk, but like Ron said, because he's a quarterback, he's probably not a running quarterback. He's probably going to maybe slip by some of those risk factors. But like if like I said, Akers was going to re-tear or tear his other Achilles. I said that over and over and over. Look what happened. Because you rush back, there's a lot of damage that you're doing that you can't see. The Achilles tendon, the Greenlaw Achilles tendon tear during the Super Bowl, there was a lot of reports that talking about, how that was probably waiting to bust. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he just planted wrong and it tore randomly. Your Achilles has damage over time, and it's like almost like you'd imagine those little fibers like unraveling. Think of a trampoline with all those little cross hatches, and if you poke a hole in it, the sun eating away at it, and eventually if you could get a microscope and watch the trampoline, and you'd see that hole totally starting to develop and open. And the Achilles is a very, 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 very complex thing. And it's not something that you can rush back. So there's a little risk for re-injury, or rather tearing the other one because of the compensation. But yeah, Cousins and A-Rod have a little less risk. Cousins has less risk than A-Rod because A-Rod's older. But A-Rod's weird, and his the way he goes about some of his stuff, maybe he's going to have this weird recovery that's stronger than ever. I don't know. I don't know. I like A-Rod.
Was it a complete tear? Was it a complete tear or a partial tear?
Yeah, they're always, whenever you see that shimmer, if there's something hanging on, you're talking about threads. Like, no, whenever you look at that calf and it goes, it like shimmers, it's a snap, bro. You could tear pieces of it, sure, but at that point, it's like, how damaged is it? Will you tear it again later? My patellar tendon, I've tore several times over the course of my life in just small little amounts, and then when I finally snapped the thing in half, I knew it was going to happen someday, because there's so many times where I came down to my knee and I felt like I tore my patellar tendon, and then I'd ice it. The next day I could run a little bit. There's a lot of damage you do to it over time. We'll have to see. But Cousins definitely landing somewhere could alter Fields' destiny in one way or another. Because if he goes back to Minnesota,
that's a hammer to drop.
If he goes back to Minnesota, it's the best thing for Fields, because it probably takes a more likely team off the board for Cousins than it does for Fields. You know what I mean? If Cousins goes to Atlanta, that's a potential Fields landing spot. I haven't heard a lot of Fields to Minnesota talk. So we want Cousins to go to Minnesota, not just for JJ and the repeat, performances and getting things back to normal, but that is the best land. Just like Russell Wilson at Pittsburgh was good for Fields, Minnesota getting Cousins back would be great for Fields. It would open up another avenue that might be closing.
Smitty, is it not possible? Sorry to jump in here, but is it not possible that you're maybe overvaluing Justin Fields here? Like, I get that he's a mobile quarterback, and there's like,
is this Michael again?
Fantasy upside.
Is this Michael?
This is Purdue.
Oh, Purdue. Okay, go ahead. It sounded like Michael.
There's a lot of fantasy upside with that. Like, I get that, but at the same time, when you're comparing Fields to Tua at a pure quarterback level, can't you agree that Tua is the actual better quarterback, like purely at the position? Never mind the concussion factor and that he doesn't run as much.
No, because they're different players, bro. They're totally. It's like trying to compare Lamar and Joe Burrow. Like they're different players.
True, from a throwing perspective,
I don't care about a throwing perspective. I care about a quarterback perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to isolate. You're trying to isolate
the throwing
skill set.
Sorry to cut you off there. The throwing perspective is, I think, what teams value the most at the quarterback position. And I think that's why there's not enough interest in Justin Fields.
That may be the case.
That
may be the case in a lot of these places, but I don't think that changes the fact that overall, is Lamar Jackson still considered a top 5 or 6 quarterback in the NFL? Yes, and I think Fields could 100% get there.
Himself, though,
but I mean,
Lamar,
these teams don't have the luxury of that, though. You've got to like I always say, scare money don't. Scare money don't make money. Like I keep saying, like if you're not a position to have Lamar, you got to go try and get your Lamar. And we're having
Lamar did it with the team that drafted him.
But
Fields was elite.
But Purdue
he would do it no matter where he was.
But Purdue,
no matter what team he's going to go to. If he's elite, he's gonna bring it and do it.
Okay, but Purdue, we're having like a conversation about something that those situations aren't related. We have teams that don't have a quarterback, and we have teams that are going to look at Fields and either say he's got the potential to be the next Lamar or he doesn't. And they've got to make that determination. And it sounds like you don't think he can be. You think he's not even capable of being a Tua Tagovailoa type passer, which I disagree with. I'm not saying he will be as accurate as some people say about Tua, but overall, he's, in my opinion, way more talented and has way higher ceiling. But he has a lot of risk. And the problem, though, is you're judging him, and I don't blame you, but you're judging him based on him living in a world of crap. And misuse, not being coached properly. And that's why I said earlier to Michael that you've got a small window of time to revive Fields. He's broken. Like, we're having an argument about a broken player. I'm admitting to you that Fields is broken. But if you don't get him out in the right spot, you can't fix him.
He's got RG3 potential when RG3 was in his prime. I think that's what Fields is. And you're right. He could be broken. He could just need, the right system or the right coach or whatever it is. But at the same time, quarterbacks that have that intangible quality, they make it happen. And that's what I'm saying. I think teams are looking at Justin Fields and they're saying, we don't believe in this guy. We don't see, and that's why from what we've heard, they're not willing to spend any capital on trying to acquire him.
And I think that's a mistake. It just like I said that it was a mistake to view Lamar that way, Purdue. 31 teams viewed Lamar that way, and they shit the bed. He was available for 2 first-rounders, and 30 teams used that same logic, and they let an NFL MVP walk out of their hands.
I mean, 2 first-rounders is pretty steep, though. I mean,
it
that's
was
not what
not
we're talking
steep
about with Justin Fields. We're talking about a second-round pick or a third.
Purdue, we're arguing.
Or a third-round pick.
Purdue, are we really arguing that wasn't worth it for 30 teams to do? I mean,
no,
take out
for sure, but 2 first-rounders gives teams some pause. They're going to be like
30 teams, 30 teams to not do a single thing. Now, granted, there are teams that didn't need them. You obviously take those out of the consideration. But sure. I'm proving a point that it doesn't matter. Like, it's almost like, no offense, Purdue, I love you, pal, but it's like no matter what argument I give you, you're giving me something else to suggest that I'm
just suggesting that from what we're seeing by the reaction of the league,
it hasn't started yet. The league year hasn't started yet. Officially, the league.
No, but
we don't know. We don't know. These are
right.
all rumors. These are people.
Fireworks.
These are people tweeting and putting out stuff that they don't even have any information. Purdue, when you're making a trade, are you telling anybody what you're doing in the league chat? Answer honest question. Are you letting people know about?
Fair point. Absolutely. You're right. You're, fog of war type thing. Absolutely. 100%.
There's no way that these teams are all being honest about what they're doing. There's no way. And no one can do anything
yet. A lot of
yet.
smoke. 100%.
And if you're trying to get a player on the cheap, just like an auction draft, okay? Going once, going twice, $25. You know the guy's going for 40. I sit back. I don't spend a single dollar on the bidding process until it gets to about $40, and I go 40. And then they go 41. I don't want to participate in escalating the value. You know what happens in an auction draft if, let's say, you want a player at $40. Let's call it I don't know, Devon Achane. Okay, let's say he's going to go for about $40 to $45. Okay, no, actually, let's make it more real. It's more like 60, 70, right? 60. Let's call it $62. Sure. That's his going price. If you get in the bidding process at 40 and 30 and 20, you're creating what's a perceived panic, and everybody's going, and you see his value go up real quickly, and then everybody goes, damn, everybody wants this guy. You got to play it cool. You got to sit back, and there are going to be a couple teams that are not wanting to throw fuel on this fire and just going to let it kind of slowly, and then when the league year, then you're going to start hearing stuff. Now, I could be wrong on that, and I wouldn't be surprised, and I won't feel dumb, because I think 30 minus the teams that had quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? The teams that didn't go after Lamar Jackson for 2 first-rounders probably feel pretty stupid right now, including the Atlanta Falcons.
For sure. Hindsight is 20/20, though. And the thing is, if teams are looking at Justin Fields as the next Lamar Jackson, they should be jumping all over him and trying to lock it down.
Agreed,
So,
someone might.
I know what you're saying about slow playing and, you don't want to show your cards before, and whatnot, but at the same time, if you think he's Lamar Jackson, you're not slow playing. You're going after your guy because you think he's the guy. And
but we're waiting. We're waiting.
That's happening.
If I'm involved in this, no one knows anything. I haven't leaked a single thing to anybody, and I'm certainly not telling people I'm coming. Hey, I'm going to be spending a second rounder on Fields. Get ready. I'm just going to sit back and go, not interested. League year begins, second rounder. All right, hold on.
Believe it or not, I think there's more interest in the Bears actually trading that first pick than
everybody wants
Justin
the first
Fields.
pick. Go ahead, Travis. Then I'm going to the fake Oracle, and then to Ethan.
Hold on, real quick, Smitty. I just got to ask: do you think there's any possible way? I know we just, like the Steelers there's this Russell Wilson news, but he's supposedly on the cheap. Is there any way that Kirk Cousins could go to the Steelers as well, and the Steelers say, you know what?
What are we talking about here, Purdue? What are we?
I know it's crazy talk. I know
no, it's not crazy talk.
It's way outside the box.
No, it's not even outside the box.
Really?
It's in La La Land. What are you talking about?
I wanted Cousins to the Steelers.
I
really
Purdue,
wanted Cousins to the Steelers.
Purdue, you just
really
crapped all over. You just crapped over all the.
Let me say something real quick.
I'm just thinking. I want to give up.
I don't think you are thinking.
I'm not all bent out of shape that Russell Wilson went to the Steelers simply because he's going to a team with crappy coaching, and they'll probably fail, and they'll probably end up starting Pickens first over him, and then if Pickens slips up, if Pickett slips up, then they'll go
Purdue.
Russell Wilson. And
Purdue.
the thing is I want Tomlin gone, and that's the way to do it.
Hey, Purdue.
Tomlin's going to be gone because
Purdue, hold on. Purdue, hold on. Pretend you're Kirk Cousins right now, okay? All right? I just signed, and I'm the Steelers. Hey,
you don't think?
Hey, hold on, Purdue. Hold on.
Steelers to the playoffs.
Kirk. Hey, Kirk. Shh. Be quiet, Kirk. Kirk Cousins. Be quiet. You're Kirk Cousins on the Steelers, okay? We just signed Russell Wilson. Do you want to come play for us? Kirk Cousins has all the. He has all the control.
Russell Wilson was like what, a couple of million or 1.2
Purdue,
or something
why do
that
you
it's going to cost the Steelers?
Purdue, your logic sometimes is
Look at
weird.
it from the player's perspective.
The only thing
your
that's
logic's
stopping
weird,
the Steelers
Purdue.
from getting a Super Bowl is a quarterback.
That doesn't
the only
concern
thing
Kirk
that's
Cousins.
stopping us from getting a Super Bowl.
Purdue.
So you don't think they load up at quarterback?
Purdue. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Tomlin sucks.
Ron, hold on. Purdue. I asked you a question. Your logic is crazy sometimes. The fact that you go around and answer it this weird way. I'm asking you a question. You're Kirk Cousins. You have full control over where you get to go play football. And I'm the Steelers. And I say, hey, we just signed Russell Wilson. You want to come play for us?
No, but listen, Smitty, why if you're Kirk Cousins, why wouldn't you want to play with the Steelers? They've got arguably one of the best defenses in the league. No, listen, they've got one of the best defenses in the league. They've got a ton of weapons on offense.
Okay.
If you're Kirk Cousins, you're not.
No,
you're
Purdue.
Not
Purdue,
even
you have to be kidding right now. You have to. There's no way you're serious.
I mean,
there's no way.
Pipe dream. It's pipe dream. But
you got me, Purdue. You got me. That was a really good joke. You had me. Let me go over to the.
You don't think? Okay. Well, okay. I'll let my dream die.
Hey, Purdue. Didn't you hear me at the monologue?
The Steelers would have been great.
Did you not hear my monologue where I said that the Steelers are going to fail whoever's there because they have freaking Arthur Smith as OC? So I don't know.
I like to think a good quarterback is better than an OC.
Okay.
I think the OC is a factor.
Hey, let me tell you something right now. Negative 100% chance. Negative 100% chance Kirk Cousins sees the Steelers as a landing spot for him when they just signed Russell Wilson.
Obviously, it's highly unlikely. I would like to believe
impossible.
still that Kirk could go.
I'll get a tattoo. It says Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh on my forehead if it happens. And you don't have to give me a thing. That's just a free offer to you.
I'll do it.
Okay, Fake Oracle. Hold on. Fake Oracle's been waiting a while. Fake Oracle, go.
That get me wishing that Kirk goes to Pittsburgh. I want to see that tattoo.
Oh.
Go ahead, Oracle.
Hey, I just wanted to call in. I feel like I haven't called in a minute. I was watching your show as I normally do, and I heard you guys talking about Kirk and Aaron Rodgers. And I just thought I wanted to add that Kirk, he had his injury, I think it was week 8, almost halfway through the whole entire season. Aaron Rodgers, it was week 1 right at the beginning. So it is almost a full year for him coming back from the injury. So I'm excited about the Jets, but also not as a Bills fan. But I just thought I'd add that is all.
Yeah, you're correct in terms of by the time A-Rod gets in the field, it's definitely. But he was going to try and push it, come back early, and all that. But he's out there throwing. He's out there doing stuff still a little bit earlier than I think most Achilles tears should be.
I know that was like a million years now.
Yeah, but Cousins, he plays instruments in the snow with his shirt off. Like, he's built a little different. He's younger, but we'll see.
He is, yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I'm really excited for New York. The only thing I'll say though, and I've said this over and over and over and over and over and over, and I'll never stop saying it. This 10 overall pick, the Jets don't need as much as other teams. I know everybody says their offensive line needs to be. I don't agree to the extent people are saying it, because they had no quarterback and defenses were literally taking advantage of that all year long. And the Jet defense is way better than they played because they got tired. And they're also mentally and physically worn down and depressed and not motivated because his team wasn't winning. All this wasted talent on defense, all this wasted energy, all this mileage and tread going on the tires of this entirely young team. And so when people say the offensive line's bad, why did Breece Hall finish as the number 4 RB in fantasy football if there's such a bad offensive line? I just think it's ridiculous. You put Aaron Rodgers in there, the defense is backing up, it's spreading out. It's an entirely different offensive line with Aaron Rodgers under center, number 1. Number 2, they don't need to fix this offensive line issue with the 10 pick. And so with this 10 pick, they should be drafting a quarterback. They should include Aaron Rodgers in the process so he feels like this is something that is not happening behind his back. And they need to cultivate a quarterback in case he goes down, or just to prepare this very young team for winning after Aaron Rodgers steps away. Or even if he plays like Brett Favre, at his end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, real quick.
Totally agree.
Real quickly, I did not get to these super chats. Hold on. Zastro says Fields is trash. Zastro, I'm sorry I didn't read your super chat until now. I'm glad I'm seeing it now and not before, because I've already got off my chest how I feel about that take. Cool Guy dropped a super chat at the beginning. Cool Guy, you still here? I'm so sorry for not answering this one yet. Russ won't live up to the classy Big Ben name. Cool Guy, I hope you're still here, and I'm sorry for the delay on that. Ron Navy dropped one earlier. Ron, sorry about the delay. He said, I sent you, says Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah. So that's definitely wrong. I bet you if you refresh it, they've already fixed it. And then Bros Pro says, Steelers, hey, we just signed Russell. Want to join us, Kirk? Oh, man. I'm sorry, Purdue. I'm not laughing. Thank you for the $10 holler. That could say moonshot. But that's the wildest thing I've heard in a long time. And I just don't know how. You're even coming to that conclusion. It's so wild. It's so wild.
It would be great.
No, it
we
wouldn't.
Get 3. We got
no, it wouldn't.
Kirk, Russell, and Kenny, and let's find the quarterback that gets us through to the end.
This is wild. This is the wildest thing I've heard in months. Months.
It's way more delusional than any Niners fan.
Yeah,
Niners are now reasonable.
Hey, Purdue, that's probably the most delusional thing I've heard in a long time. Maybe all year. I love
it's out there, Smitty. I know it's out there.
I love you, pal. I don't want you to think but when you said that, I'm like, oh, now he's joking with me this entire time. This is wild.
I just really wanted Kirk.
Then you shouldn't have got Russell Wilson. Then you shouldn't have got Russell
for pennies. They got
doesn't
him for
matter.
Pennies. It sounds like
it doesn't matter. Kirk is the one that decides where he goes. That's no longer attractive to him, bro. If your girl before you found her had brought in another guy and said, I'm just going to keep him on the side still, but I'm going to come after you. You're the main one. Are you going to mess with that?
If they're paying him, I don't see why they wouldn't. If they're going to pay him what he's asking, why wouldn't he? He'd be like,
bro,
hey,
just answer the question.
And you're going to start Russell? Why not?
Oh, bro.
I don't know.
No, answer. Did you just answer that question?
Injury,
if your girl that you met brings in another dude on the side and says, hey, you're my main guy, come over here, I'm going to keep him, but he'll be a peon. We're going with you. You're the main guy. You're the main event. Are you heading that direction?
It's not the same. This is business.
It is the same.
Relationships. It's business. It's not the same. I get the analogy. It's a good analogy, but it's not quite accurate.
Let's go.
Could you imagine getting paid? Could you imagine though getting paid and then having someone else have to play, and you're just like, I guess I'm just getting healthier and healthier every
Can
week
you
goes by.
you imagine
I'm getting paid.
Can you imagine somebody saying, "Hey, you just brought in Russell Wilson. Out of all the places I could go play with Bijan and London. I'm gonna go play in the most confusing quarterback room where Arthur Smith is heading it all up. Let's go there."
With one of the best defenses in the league, with some really good, talented players on offense. I mean,
makes no sense.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Hey, Purdue, I love you. Hang tight. We'll come back to you in a second. Let's go to Ethan, the negative Ethan, see if Ethan can talk some sense into him.
Yeah. I don't know why everyone's complaining
You guys sound
about
the same.
What's going on. Everything's working out as it should. Tomlin has he needs to win now, so he needs a guy like Russell Wilson who's going to come in and just, run a solid offense with TJ Watt. Raheem Morris, he can build a young quarterback. He can work with Fields or Penix Jr. And Cousins, what are we talking about? Cousins, Ayuk, and Higgins, they're going to be working with, movement coaches in the offseason, filming themselves catching different colored balls and saying how great they are, thinking they're ready for the season. I mean, I don't know what this delusion is with Cousins.
Wait, what? What are you talking about? Colored balls?
That's what Cousins going to do.
Higgins?
Yeah, what you get the movement coach in, you videotape yourself, throwing different colored balls, catching different colored balls at different times.
Okay.
And then they think they're ready for the season, and then they're terrible. We see it all the time. They hold out. I mean, can Cousins even run a under 5-second 40 right now? Coming off an Achilles tear?
Well, but what month is it?
Probably not.
Hey, Ethan, what month is it right now? As far as I checked, it was March 10. Well, March 11 for all of you. Okay, well, we're a little ways away from September. So I think...
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Okay, well, hey, that's one man's take. One man says not going near Cousins. Okay, this is a wild phone call session we got going here, guys. This is Mickey Mouse type stuff we got here tonight. Hey, Ron, no offense, because Ron was literally reading what was in front of him. It's not really his fault, but it started off with Ron. This is where it all went downhill. Ron called in saying, "I just read that the Steelers have to pick up the $38 million," and I'm like, "No, it's the Denver Broncos." But it just got wilder from there.
How it read. That's how it read.
You want to know what Cousins is going to pull? He's going to pull. Who was that? Donovan McNabb. He's going to be in the ocean playing with his movement coach with his shirt off, and it's going to look terrible. I mean,
Ethan. You guys know who Dennis? What is his name? Dennis, the guy from Saturday Night Live, the old school.
Dennis Miller?
Yeah, Dennis Miller. Ethan reminds me of a poor man's Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller would say things. Football. Dennis Miller would say things. He's so smart. You didn't know what he was saying. I feel like Ethan's saying things that I'm not saying you're not smart, Ethan, but you're saying things that are very simple that we don't know what you're saying.
I still remember. I remember one time Dennis Miller when I was a kid. He goes, "This guy's changed his position more than Al Gore."
Yeah,
that was probably one of my favorite ones by him.
All right, hang tight. Let me go over to Scuba Steve.
Okay.
Scuba, you're live. This should be good. Let's go to the guy to ask me everything twice. Go ahead, Scuba. What's up?
They're already showing Cousins on the tennis court. You know it.
Go ahead, Scuba.
I was just gonna say, man. In terms of fantasy, I think this move stinks. Do you want to talk about? I feel bad for George Pickens. I mean, all these guys that they're bringing in, it seems like their offense has no idea what they want to do. This guy wants to get the ball. Him and Pat Freiermuth, and they got Arthur Smith, and you know that the third and fourth string are going to be the ones that are going to be getting all the passes. So I don't know if Russell Wilson wants to go down there, man. Hey, something about doing like this.
I mean,
well, there's still a high chance that Deontay Johnson gets traded too.
Yeah, I think that.
I think this is good for Pickens.
So hey, Purdue's probably got that question, that questionable face on his grill right now, going, what did they just say? Pittsburgh's a great landing spot. That's why Cousins should also go there. I think Purdue, you view Pittsburgh a little different. We got Ron Navy, big Pittsburgh fan on here, who's not excited about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tomlin doesn't feel like he knows how to put it all together. I don't care how many times you crap out a winning season. If you crap the bed at the end of the day, nothing really matters about winning seasons and all that. And the fact that Matt Canada was left in charge for as long as he was, to put Arthur Smith as his replacement is just absolute idiocy. And I think what Scuba's saying is that this is not a very promising landing spot for anybody to go to, because it's probably temporary. Arthur Smith's probably gone. Maybe even Tomlin is gone within 1 year, maybe 2 years, if this thing doesn't get turned around. And the fact that Tomlin put Arthur Smith in a head position, offensive coordinator, mind you, to try and get him out of what is kind of steering toward a dark place where he may end up on the hot seat, it shows you that Tomlin is probably very much more close next year to being on the hot seat. And I agree with Scuba that this is probably not going to work. I said that at the beginning. It's better than nothing. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, it's good that you have another option. And he's a very talented physically. His touch, raindrops in the end zone. I mean, he's very, very good, but he's broken. Just like Fields is broken, just like I alluded to. They're both broken quarterbacks. They need perfect coaching and perfect scenarios to revitalize. And this is not the best place for Russell Wilson, in my opinion. I agree with Scuba.
Hey, Tomlin is insulated though.
DeBalt, 5 gifted.
Insulated because he's got to the moon and
DeBalt.
Yeah, he's got Arthur Smith there to blame, and then Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but ask Ron. How long is that going to hold up?
He's not insulated.
I mean, the standard is the standard. Come on.
The standard was the standard when Cowher was the coach. It's not the standard no more. Tomlin gets winning season, yeah, but we haven't won a playoff game. Last 5 playoff games we've lost. Tomlin only won a Super Bowl with Cowher's team. The other Super Bowl, he lost to Green Bay. So don't give me this
That's
whole
not his
great
fault.
Tomlin.
That's not his fault. That's Mendenhall's fault.
Purdue, you got some thick Steeler goggles on. I love how thick Purdue Steeler goggles are. Those things are the thickest I've ever seen. But I love it, Purdue. I love that you got the passion there. Not mad at you for it at all.
It's Smitty.
Yeah.
In terms of Pickens, I know that we worry that just, on the mental side of things, you lose him if things are going bad. But if you look at it from this angle, he got like 60-something catches last year. When you say process of elimination, he's going to get, 20 more catches than last year even. So he should be getting the ball more than last year.
No.
And if Deontay Johnson goes, he's the focal point.
Yeah,
if
that happens, maybe. But because Arthur Smith made London one of the most inaccurate or inconsistent receivers that should have had way more. Like London should have
Wilson
been.
Wilson is better than Ritter.
Yes.
Wilson's better than Ritter.
True.
I guess that's what I'm figuring.
True. So without Deontay, yes. With Deontay there, I don't know. I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying stamp a yes on that one. I totally I just think that I don't know what Arthur Smith's going to dial up, and I don't know that Tomlin's capable of pulling the plug quick enough. So we might see something like.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm diving in on him or anything, but you look at Cortland Sutton last year. I know he had 10 touchdowns, but I mean, I would think Pickens can go for 1,008 touchdowns.
He could. Look, I like Russell Wilson a lot more than Pickett, and I like Pickett more than I like Ritter. So I mean, you got a good quarterback, not a great quarterback because he's broken, but a good quarterback option in place. But will Arthur Smith destroy him? Will Russell Wilson be any better? Will he be any better, though, than Pickett under Arthur Smith? I don't know. That's the problem. He's broken. It's kind of like...
I mean, you want to blame Pickett and everything, but it's not. Look at. He didn't start his first year, his rookie year, until later on in the season. And then he gets Canada this season, which they end up firing, and then he gets injured. So... I mean, everybody's like down on Pickett, but it's not him. It's coaching. Tomlin can't hire any good coaches. He can't develop quarterbacks. It's not Pickett's fault. And Russell Wilson's not to do anything different than any other quarterback that they bring in there because the coaching staff sucks.
I will
That's
say
the
this,
bottom
Ron.
line. I agree with you, Smitty. If Fields goes to the Giants, he has a chance with Daboll there
and
to
they
get
draft
developed.
a receiver.
But any quarterback
Giants
that goes
receivers
to
are
the Steelers,
terrible.
Yeah, but
failure because
Ethan,
they can't.
Ethan, take a look at the screen.
They can't develop quarterbacks.
Ethan, take a look at the screen. Number 6 overall pick. They're going to draft Neighbors or a Dunze if they trade for Justin Fields. So it's going to be glorious. Okay, so the Giants
they
are
have
actually
a couple guys who aren't terrible.
The Giants could flip this thing around, flip the script as quickly as a script can be flipped if they're smart. Are they smart? Hopefully they are. Hopefully they trade for Justin Fields and draft a Dunze or Neighbors or Bowers, but I think you need the receiver.
I'd
The
argue
Giants
that Daboll
receivers
could
are
turn
good and terrible.
Fields into a poor. I think Daboll could turn Fields into a poor man's Josh Allen.
I think that Daboll could turn him into a combination of Lamar, Hurts, and Josh Allen. Like he's a different quarterback, but he's got all the ability. It's just cultivating
the size, the speed,
and
the
for
arm,
people that think he can't,
matter.
I know Purdue thinks he's not a good passer, but I think you don't know what he is yet. Like, do I think he'll ever be amazing?
I think he's okay.
But
I think he's okay. I think he's just
I know,
someone
but
that doesn't necessarily fully translate.
Can I say this though? Dable's so good at developing quarterbacks. It's unfortunate that all he had for Putty was Danny Dimes. That's kind of on him for choosing, that direction. But I do think that sometimes maybe mistakes are made, and you can't always just say this coach and this coordinator or this this cultivator is bad at everything. I think I would say this, and I think I can say this. Josh Allen, I can't say this because I predicted Josh Allen to be a top 1 to 5 quarterback before he took an NFL snap. And I took a lot of heat for it for years because he was so far away from it for a while. But I would venture to say that Justin Fields is a better passer than Josh Allen was his rookie year. And even walking into technically
52% completion.
Yeah, Josh Allen, there's people that said Josh Allen can't throw a football for anything. He can only run. He's a gadget quarterback. He'll never be good. Dable could fix Justin Fields and some, bro. He's very much in a position that you could turn him into a really, really, not maybe he won't be elite passer, but he'll be a really good passer on top of arguably the league's best running quarterback.
You might be right about year one, but I mean, Josh Allen figured it out. That's the thing.
What does that? Hey, what does that have anything to do with it, Purdue? You go in these weird directions. You go in these weird directions. I just said that Fields, when he could
be a great passer. He could be a great passer. I don't think he's that good of a passer, but I think he's more of a Trey Lance who is not fully adjusting to the NFL.
We don't know
versus a Lamar Jackson.
He's been sitting in a hellhole.
You're kind of likening it. You're likening him to a Lamar Jackson that's misused or not in a good system.
Correct.
I think he's more of a Trey Lance who is just.
We don't know what Trey
when
Lance
they get
is.
to the NFL level, they're kind of like a deer in
Trey
the
Lance
headlights.
was used
Yeah,
like
it
a
might
fullback.
work out.
Yeah, I think you're assuming Trey. I think you're assuming Trey Lance was garbage too. Which look, that was Shanahan. Shanahan would not be coaching the Niners right now if Purdy didn't work out.
I think it's just he didn't translate. Like these quarterbacks, they're good quarterbacks when they go to the NFL level.
Where's he played though, Purdue? Where's he played, Purdue?
Out.
He's only played for Chicago, and they've botched it the entire way. I agree with you.
Again,
he's broken.
If
he's
these
broken.
quarterbacks are good quarterbacks, they'll do good no matter where they are, what system they're in, because they are talented. And I just don't think. I think Justin Fields has talent. I just don't think he's as talented as you're maybe likening him to be, because of the fact that there's so much fantasy appeal to a running quarterback.
Pardon me for thinking different than you on this, but I think after hearing that you think Cousins' landing spot is really good in Pittsburgh. I think I'm going to heed the road on. I think you should heed the road on this one. But
you could be right, Smitty. Don't get me wrong. You could be totally right. But I know it's out there to say, I wish Kirk Cousins could still go to the Steelers. I know that's crazy talk, but
okay. Let me go over. Let me circle around the phone line here and knock people one at a time off. But let me start off by going to Rock Out, and then Rock Out I'll keep you on for a little bit. But Rock Out's on the line. Did Scuba Steve even talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Did you have anything else, Scuba?
Hey,
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say. I mean, I know the topics have gone all over the place. I was just gonna ask. I know Ron is a Steelers fan. That there was interest from Brian Leftwich to want to come in and be as an offensive coordinator. I just don't understand why they didn't give him a look instead of Arthur Smith. Because when he was in Tampa Bay, I mean, I know he was tied to Tom Brady, but I mean, that guy, it seemed like he was a pretty good offensive mind. I just don't understand why they didn't want to bring him in.
Your guess is as good as mine, and it's an excellent freaking point. And I think that the fact that Chicago, I think you could say this more about Chicago than anything too, is the fact that you bring in Shane Waldron instead of, especially if you're going after Caleb, you bring in Kingsbury. I mean, that's his OC. He's the guy that knows him best, and he cultivated him. Now, maybe they just didn't want that kind of offense. I don't know. But that seems to me to be the reason why Chicago's failing Fields is they're trying to force the quarterback into their scheme and system. Poles wants to run a certain offense. Eberflus wants to run a certain offense. You have to make Fields the offense. If you trade for Fields or have Fields, if you have Lamar or trade for Lamar, he needs to be the offense, and you build around him. That is why Fields has failed in Chicago, and that's why I think no matter what, they fail whatever quarterback goes there, because guess what they're going to do? Not build around Caleb, try and force Caleb into a box. And I can't believe that Chicago didn't bring in Kellen Moore or Kingsbury. I can't believe, like you said, that Pittsburgh, who's in a really good spot, I've made this very abundantly clear. If Pittsburgh had brought in Russell Wilson with a good OC, I'd be all over this situation. I'd probably be higher on Pittsburgh than Ron would be walking into the season. Even with Tomlin still in place, they brought in the right OC with Russell Wilson. I'd be all in. But this is like putting a governor or handcuffs on the situation and then saying, look at this awesome vehicle we have, but we're going to take out, 4 of the Pistons. That's what you're doing. It's unbelievable. I mean, you're right, Scuba. I have no idea why Arthur Smith was the decision and how it even came to pass. I have no idea. How does that guy trick himself into an offensive coordinator situation? He's garbage. Maybe he did good in the past, but he's garbage. The fact that he doesn't know how to use his talent, the fact that he keeps using Ritter, the fact that he would not feed look, you're first and goal from the 9-yard line, the 5-yard line, the 7-yard line, and you don't hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson one time, let alone 4 straight times. If you put me in the 8-yard line, 7-yard line territory, I'm scoring every single time because in my mind, I'm running Bijan 4 times. They didn't run him once. They never ran him once. Crazy.
No, I agree. I was just gonna say I just don't understand how he gets a shot for the things that you said, and then you had a guy like Brian Leftwich who I think had some success in the league. And I know it's Tom Brady with the Tom Brady stuff, but I mean at least give the guy a chance. I mean he showed that he was successful. The guy won a Super Bowl with what's his name, Bruce Arians, and his offenses. If you really look at his offensive numbers, it was successful, and he was a part of the Mike Evans and the Chris Godwin stuff too. Like for the most part, as an OC, I thought he did pretty good. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's just these teams they want to outsmart everybody, think that they know what they're doing, and who the hell knows.
Well, even if you're wrong on the choice, and I'm not saying you are, but you're absolutely right on the entire process you're talking. So even if people disagree with the example you're giving or whatever, and I'm not saying I do, You're right. You're 100% right. And it's what goes through my mind every time I speak on whether I like Russell Wilson. I do. But he's broken. I love Fields, but he's broken. And to produce point a little bit on Fields not being the guy, he won't be the guy if he's in Chicago. He'll break. He's already broken. He'll break in half. So, and then Purdue's going to come in and go, I told you Fields is garbage. And I'm going to say, I know he wasn't going to do well in Chicago. And Purdue's going to forget a conversation and go, no, you love Fields. And I'm going to say, no, you're misremembering Purdue. I love Fields if he gets out of Dodge. And I love Fields if he gets cultivated, but he's broken. He needs complete, utter repair, a repair job. He needs to be cultivated. He needs to be taken care of and molded and sculpted. Josh Allen, after what was a successful running season, his rookie year, if he did not have Dable, he may not even be starting in the NFL. That's how critical it is for some of these quarterbacks to be cultivated and shaped properly. And we never know. We never know how good Josh Allen is. And people would say the same thing they say about Fields right now, they'd be saying about Josh Allen, who's washed out of the league. He's an absolute amazing quarterback. He had a lot of talent. Dable knew how to bring it out of him. And he was a much lesser passer his rookie year than Fields was even his rookie and sophomore year. Because he didn't, everyone ripped on him constantly. He's only can run. He's a garbage passer. People still say that about Josh Allen right now. It's crazy. Let me go over to Marsman Rock Out. Marsman Rock Out, you're live. Go. Hit that thumb up button. Subscribe if you're new.
So you could be the man that make Russell Wilson great in the Steelers town?
Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and wipe your feet at the door.
Am I going to make what?
Are you going to make Russell Wilson great again in Pittsburgh?
Am I? How am I going to do
that?
Yeah, hold on. Let me do that. Hey, Tomlin. Yeah, Tomlin, we need you to fire Arthur Smith right now. Right now. What am I going to do if I don't? I'm sending Ron Navy your address. Oh, you'll fire him right away? Okay. Done. Russell Wilson made great again.
He's barely getting an upgrade from Hackett of a job.
Can you imagine Ron Navy outside of his window at home? It's a gated community. Ron Navy's got a thermos and a lawn chair and a radio. He just parks out front for weeks at a time. I'm going to sit here every day until you fire Arthur Smith and yourself. Anything else, Rock Out? What else you got?
I'm kind of surprised Russell wasn't like the last QB taken or waiting to play the field.
That's a good point. You know, I'm kind of surprised he jumped on the first opportunity. You know why he might have done that though? Because these teams would have maybe taken their foot off the gas that were trying to get him.
Yep.
There's certain advantage of being the only one available to sign right now because he's out in front of it. Remember Derek Carr? Derek Carr was able to go anywhere he wanted right away. And so it's kind of a similar situation. Had he waited and Pittsburgh was like, well, now we're going to go after Cousins. Hold off on sending Russell that contract off. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know. He probably jumped on it. It is on the surface level to produce point. It is a very attractive looking spot from a glance because you got a good defense. You got a winning coach. You have what some would say is a proven offensive coordinator that doesn't look deep into it. It's kind of like, looking at someone's resume without doing the background check. You do a background check on Arthur Smith and red flags come up all over the place. But you look at his resume, he shaves his mustache for the interview. And then when you hire him, he lets it go and grows it out. Looks like a tool.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got a super chat here.
Could he be a backup? Could we have got him as a backup for the price that we got?
No, absolutely not. Because he was a $1 million.
Sure?
He's $1 million.
$1 million.
That's $1 million bucks. That's nothing. That's nothing in the NFL.
You're not
to give Kenny Pickett a little bit of
hearing me, Purdue.
encouragement.
You're not hearing me. He's $1 million.
As a bench player.
He's $1 million. That's how much teams have to pay him. He's the most attractive quarterback land right now because he costs you $1.2 million. That's amazing. That means that all these teams are going to give him a starting job. Why would he go take a backup job, Purdue?
Yeah.
Because he thinks he can beat
Coach
Kenny
more than that.
Pickett. He thinks he can beat Kenny Pickett in tryouts and in camp, and he probably will. But I mean, if he doesn't, the Steelers are like, hey, $1.2 million to have
I know.
a veteran.
That's why they did it.
backup?
That's why they did it, Purdue.
amazing.
That's why they did it. But your question, I feel like you go in these weird side directions, bro. You said to me, the question you posed was, do you think he would be could be a backup in the NFL? And I said, no, he gets to go wherever he wants to start because he costs $1 million. And you said, that's nothing. That's cheap. And I'm like, I know. That's why he could go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Here's something that
I love you,
hasn't
Purdue.
been
I'm sorry
brought
if I'm
up.
coming down hard on you. I love you, pal.
Now that Russell Wilson's going to sign with the
You're good,
Steelers,
Smitty.
where does Mason Rudolph go? Because he's going to get offers the way he played at the end of the last year. He's going to get some offers.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer now entering the chat. We're in bizarro world tonight. I get he played well, Ron.
No,
I do, but no one's bringing him in to start. I don't believe anyone's.
Start. They're probably
Backup? Okay.
they'll probably as a backup. But
Yeah,
you know
backup.
what? you know, J.J. McCarthy, doesn't he really seem kind of like a Sean Payton type of quarterback?
He does. That's why I said. I said earlier the Giants could take him, but I have said earlier that Sean Payton, if he's gonna fire off on one of these quarterbacks and he goes against J.J. McCarthy, it's gonna be disappointing because he's not gonna be better than Russell Wilson. He'll be the same. I think that's where J.J. McCarthy's cap's
from
gonna be.
fantasy standpoint.
I think J.J. McCarthy and Russell Wilson, I think they're going to be very similar in value to a team. I don't like him. I like him. I don't love him. He's not a bust.
What do you think about is Buffalo going to be in contention this year since they're totally dismantling their whole defense? They've totally dismantled it.
Well, I'm a little bit baffled by some of the moves, I'll admit, but I think that they're freeing up so much money. We don't know what they're going to replace him with. You know what I mean? There's players out there. They're potentially making some moves we don't know about yet. They might be trading Diggs. Who knows? Maybe they're going to. I don't know. Maybe they might be making room for trading Diggs. Who the hell knows? But I don't know. I don't know that they're just going to leave it the way it is. I think there's a plan in place. I don't know if we'll love the plan. I feel like Buffalo knows they can win now. I don't think they're trying to rebuild. I think they're trying to retool. But
yeah,
I think that's accurate.
I mean, we'll know how serious they are. If they bring in like a Derrick Henry or something, we'll know how serious they are about this year.
I don't like
With a
Henry
good
there.
quarterback, you can do anything.
Like I said, Henry to Dallas or Henry. Wouldn't it be weird if Henry went to, after destroying them so many years in a row, went to Houston and played with them? Wouldn't that be something else?
When you got two starting quarterbacks and you trick them both to come to your team, you can do anything, as Purdue said. Purdue. You're wild. That's so wild. Villain with a super chat. Per Bleacher Report, teams do not see more than Darnold or Locke in Fields. Look, there's a lot of people trying to say that they've talked to this person, that person. This is all people. This is the time of year where people have their sources. And I get so tired of hearing people not name their source. Let me tell you something, okay? From somebody that does this for a living and looks at sources all day long, or looks at people reporting on sources all day long, if someone has information and the source that gives it to them won't allow them to share their name, then it's not credible. It's somebody speaking next to somebody, next to somebody, next to somebody. It's still so many degrees of separation that it could be misconstrued. Everybody's trying to make a name for themselves. Everybody's writing things in a crazy way. Example, case in point was the Barkley news. Where was he being rumored? Oh, Patriots. The Patriots were one of the likely targets. One of the 7 primary targets potentially for Saquon Barkley. That report came from a guy that did a podcast, and then all the Patriot pages omitted all the other teams and left it as primary landing spot. And then you had all these Patriot sources, beat writers everywhere going, Saquon Barkley is now, the primary target is now New England for Saquon Barkley. They're reporting it everywhere. Like, this is the way the news world goes. This does not mean anything to me. It means zero. Do I think that maybe this could be the case, supervillain? Sure. It could be. There are definitely going to be a lot of people that are skeptical about Fields, but it's not because they see him as Locke or Darnold. It's because a lot of these teams can't change their offense. It's hard to change your offense around a quarterback. You can't bring Fields and plug him into your system. And if you're a coach that doesn't know how to coach Fields or build a system around a quarterback, it makes it a problematic marriage. So in some of the cases, it's the problem of fitting him into your offense. But I can promise you that if somebody thinks, anybody that said this is not you, supervillain, and not necessarily the writer, but if anybody did tell, let's say, this was real, which I don't believe it is. I guess people making up shit and acting like they have connections. But if this is real and somebody said this, the man that stated this to the person that spread it, whatever, doesn't know ball at all. Darnold, Locke, and Fields shouldn't even belong in the same sentence. And that doesn't mean that Fields won't bust. To my point earlier to Purdue, if he stays in Chicago, he's going to bust. He needs to be cultivated.
I heard that Aaron Rodgers is going to boycott the Super Bowl and that Jamar Chase can't catch NFL footballs.
I don't know what you're saying again.
You hear that?
I don't know what you're saying again, Ethan. This is one of those weird
you don't
things
remember
where
those rumors?
you have these. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I rarely do know what you're talking about.
You don't remember that?
No,
one?
I don't know. This sounds like one of your Dennis Miller commentaries.
That was the Boomer Esiason. He pulled out the phone and he said,
I don't remember.
Aaron Rodgers is going to boycott the Super Bowl.
I don't remember it. Nobody else does. Raise your hand if you know what he's talking about. I bet you maybe one person. I don't know. Ron, no offense to say Ron's the oldest person here, but Ron, do you know what he's talking about?
Nope. I know what he means on the Chase thing. Jamar Chase wasn't catching balls in his first training camp.
Yeah, dropping footballs, yeah. Hey, Ethan, I love you too. I want you to know that. You and Purdue, your family, you guys both spilled the milk hardcore on the Thanksgiving table tonight. But that doesn't mean I'm not inviting you back or something. You know what I mean? Zastro, you've been quiet for a while, although you sound like Purdue. So you may have talked and I thought you were Purdue and I chastised you a couple times. But go ahead.
Hey, real quick, everyone hit like. We got 230 something in here.
Yeah,
so
230.
Subscribe. Hit that like button if you haven't.
Subscribe too. If anybody's new, please subscribe as well.
Hit that subscribe button if you're new and wipe your feet at the door.
Go ahead, Zastro.
I just want one last comment that I'm going to get off here.
I
just feel like we're putting too much faith in the Bears to actually do the right thing.
True.
And get rid of Fields. I could really see them keeping him and drafting Caleb because nobody's giving them what they want for Fields.
They'll trade him though. If they do that, they'll eventually trade him on their timetable. There's almost 0% chance they'll have both of them. There's no way you can have a healthy relationship that way. There's no way. I would say nothing's impossible, obviously. The reason I say that is because if you would have told me the NCAA tournament was going to get canceled in 2020, I would have said all the money at stake, you're out of your mind. I think that year made me believe that anything's possible. The crap that happened to us in 2020 was insane. Like the world just flipped upside down. That is my new way of looking at things. I don't think I can ever say 0% unless it's Kirk Cousins going to the Pittsburgh Steelers after Russell Wilson goes. That's 0%. Sorry, Purdue. But do I think there's a near 0% chance that if the Bears can't get rid of Fields and they hold him and they draft Caleb, that they don't eventually trade Fields before, camp and all that, I think near 0%, because you can't let Caleb live in that world. It's going to be hard enough for him, and you can't put that pressure on him. And you also can't do the flip. You can't start Fields and expect, what if he plays out of his mind and nobody wants to trade for him? You going to bench
Caleb
him?
might hold out.
Yeah, Caleb wouldn't want to go. So almost 0% chance that happens. If they can't get rid of him in time, they'll trade him eventually. But just like Rosen got traded after the draft when the Cardinals drafted Kyler, it could happen. But you know what also could happen? They draft Caleb, and before we get to the middle of the first round, Fields is traded. You know what I mean? Like something like that?
Yeah. The Bears are a poverty franchise. I just don't have a lot of faith that they'll do the right thing. But, you never know. Anyways, have a good night.
You know what? Yeah, good night, pal. Appreciate you. You know what I think could also happen, boys? We get on the clock here at this number 8 overall pick, and when a deal can't be made that is to the liking of the Bears, they say swap 8 and 9 and give us some conditional pick or a second or third rounder. Basically, that's their way of saying we're going to take a bath when we didn't want to, but at least we move up to guarantee our guy. And I could see something like that happening. If Fields does go to Atlanta, I think the 8 and 9 pick will be swapped. I think that'll be a way to make this worth it to them in their mind to take a bath on it. If Atlanta is the landing spot. I don't know that he'll go to Atlanta. We heard that was the Vegas had it as the lead dog landing spot. It doesn't always mean anything. I've said that before, but it's still in play. Especially if Cousins goes back to Minnesota, Fields to Atlanta, I bet you it's going to happen. So we're kind of rooting for Cousins to go back to Minnesota. Did I say Minnesota? We're kind of rooting for Cousins to go back to Minnesota because we know what we're dealing with there. We know what JJ is with Cousins. We know what Cousins is with JJ. We know what Addison is. We want all that to kind of remain the same. As much as we like the excitement of a player moving, if Minnesota takes Cousins off the board, then Atlanta's in a more desperate situation. They could go rookie, but as I've said to everybody out here, you give me Fields and a Dunze over giving me just a rookie quarterback. It's a much better move.
All bets are off if Cousins goes to the Steelers.
If Cousins goes to the Steelers, Smitty gets a tattoo on his forehead.
You're this close. You're this close, Purdue. Only because you're a Mars man. You can't hang up on you, but I can't. I've hung up on Ron before.
I'm just. It's for comedic relief here. That's
I know.
all.
I'm joking with you. Kinda.
Cousins peaked.
Cousins to the Steelers. Boy. Boy. Yep, Smitty, Bears come down on Fields' price for Atlanta if they swap 8 and 9. Really like those chances. And that's what gets the Bears to, like I said, I just have a weird feeling that if Atlanta is in play, it's going to be one of those things where, you're negotiating with somebody and you ask for something ridiculous just so you can win something. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, okay, swap the 2 picks. We're going to take probably the same guy anyway, but just do that and we'll go ahead and do the deal. It's like, because they don't want to give up a third rounder for Fields. It's going to be what?
Imagine this, right? The Bears are pretty much screwed. Because imagine the Bears fans, right? They get let's say Fields does end up going to Atlanta, right? And they draft
Dunze.
Caleb.
Oh.
No, they draft.
Oh, Chicago. Okay.
Caleb's gonna be a bust, and Fields goes to Atlanta, and Fields just starts lighting it up left and right. Those Bears fans are going to go freaking nuts. They're going to be so pissed off at the Bears leadership.
Yeah, you know how I said Poles buys himself a year, which is so funny when a Bears fan hears that. They're like, Poles buys himself a year? Are you crazy? Poles is so good. He's the best GM in the world. Like, Bears fans are just blind to it because he made a everyone says a perceived good trade last year. Well, perceived good trade was passing on CJ Stroud. Doesn't matter if a lot of people liked Bryce Young and you had the debate. The bottom line is CJ Stroud was there you didn't take him. And there were plenty of teams that had him as the one. It was a big debate all offseason long. Everyone says everyone had Bryce Young. Carolina had Bryce Young. Like, a lot of the teams were torn on it. And there was a big debate constantly. You passed on C.J. Stroud. This is not you got an extra first rounder and all that. That's all nice and fun and dandy. But you passed on the number 1 overall quarterback who turned out to be a top 5 quarterback in the making. So you're going back to the same scenario, and you have the opportunity to draft a quarterback. You've got to kind of take it. But remember when I said that it buys him time? If let's say, as long as Caleb doesn't bust in year 1 and look awful, like if he's got some progress, they lose a lot of games, he's learning, maybe at the end of the year he picks it up a little bit. No matter what, he buys time, right? Unless Fields goes nuts over in Atlanta and Caleb's looking like garbage, then they're just going to be like, pull this plug. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Stroud would have failed in Chicago. Any quarterback going in Chicago fails pretty much. Just like with the Steelers. I mean, you got to have good coaching. If you have crappy coaching, you ain't gonna. If you have bad leadership, nothing you do is gonna change anything.
Yeah, and thank God Stroud didn't go to Chicago, because let me make that abundantly clear. Had he gone to Chicago, he would have busted, like his rookie year at least. Because Chicago, they don't know what they're doing. Clearly. So thank God Stroud's in Houston. He's exactly where he needs to be. And that organization is building something special. And it's going to be, that's why I think Barkley goes there, because Barkley's got some time. And I think Barkley's going to, he doesn't have a lot of time, but he has about 2 years, let's call it. He's going to pick a place that feels like a young, rejuvenating, building something long-term location. That's why I think Barkley goes to Houston, but we'll have to see. All right, let me circle you guys off the phone line.
Would Stroud have
go to
done
Pittsburgh?
Well because he's no. Would Stroud have done well in Chicago because he's a good quarterback?
No, he wouldn't
That's
have.
all I'm saying.
No, he wouldn't have.
I don't know.
He wouldn't have. They're not.
Set up player.
This is like it's a Mickey Mouse run organization right now, bro. I know everybody thinks Poles is amazing right now, and maybe he proves me wrong, but I don't. You know how I know Poles isn't what everybody says he is? Because he stripped his team down, took all the meat off the bone, and left Fields to fend for himself. Not this year, the year prior, and got him banged up. He did get hurt. But he absolutely gave Fields nothing to work with, and Fields literally ran his tail off, ran for the massive amount of yards. I think he only threw 11 INTs too, running for his life. He had players catching the football that were no better than a janitor at the end of the year. He stripped that team down to nothing and said, Fields, go out there and risk your life. And that to me proved that he is a reckless GM that I feel put his quarterback in tremendous risk territory.
I think people underestimate how hard it is for a young, especially rookie quarterback to do anything if they have nothing around them. It's a different story with a veteran guy who can come in and raise at receivers' levels and do more with an offense. But just a rookie, straight up rookie, they need something around them. Even the best guys a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So all right. Look at Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer.
Let me circle around the phone line and get so Ethan, the negative. Your final thoughts, bro, before I kick you off the line.
Oh, Smitty, I was looking at
here we go.
Penix Jr. and just an observation. He does. The ball looks good coming out, but he does kind of have a Phillip Rivers type delivery in terms of he doesn't turn the ball over. Have you noticed that?
All I know is everyone was drooling over his combine performance. Maybe he doesn't throw it the same way.
Very nicely,
I don't mind the way he throws, and I don't want to change it. I mean, he throws one of the most accurate balls. I think if a quarterback was a little off, then you'd start changing some things if there was room to tweak it to a perfectionist type of throw. But no, Penix Jr., great touch, throws an unbelievable ball, and I don't think that I'm not worried a single bit. I think his pro day is gonna enamor people.
Yeah, why didn't he run the 40? Because we know he's a pocket quarterback. Why didn't he just run the 40 and put up a crappy time?
Because I mean, it doesn't help you, you know. Like, and these guys have their agents and their teams saying, like, if this guy's not doing this guy, you know, don't put yourself in a position where you're, you know, if you're not going to do great at it. Now, if he's going to go out and throw down an amazing time, he could maybe separate himself from Bo Nix. You know what I mean? But like, why do it? So he went out and did what he had to do. He had one of the best combines. Yeah, one of the best combines.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we'll see. I mean, I remember watching Phillip Rivers. That guy could read a defensive blitz. If he can, you know, get rid of the ball quick like him, you know, could have a good career. So maybe him to Atlanta or Fields. We'll see.
All right. Appreciate you. Later.
All right, have a good one.
All right. Let's go over to Scuba. You got a final thought, bro?
Yeah. So I don't know how true this is or whatever with this Albert Breer stuff about the Chargers moving pieces, and it could potentially be like Herbert's weapons. But if they do move on from like Keenan Allen and like Mike Williams, I just want to know about his prospects because I mean I think that he's gonna have a good season with Harbaugh and stuff. But I mean if they're gonna move on from his wide receivers, what do you expect like his room to be like? Do you think that they're just gonna try to sign one of these guys through free agency, or are they just going to go after like guys in the draft?
I mean, they got the number 5 pick, so they're going to go after Neighbors or Odunze or Bowers, probably. I would say one of the receivers, but they certainly could draft Bowers. It would be a fantastic move if they keep Keenan Allen. If they trade Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is nothing. Okay, he's coming back from an ACL tear. He can't stay healthy. He's garbage. It comes down to Keenan Allen. Do they trade Keenan Allen? Is there even a trade market for Keenan Allen? You can say I'm trading Keenan Allen, but the guy is not, he's not a spring chicken, so he's gonna be hard to like trade. I think if they did trade him, then you can put Neighbors and Odunze, probably Neighbors, locked into the 5 spot. But Odunze is gonna make his case to being the number 2 wide receiver. People are gonna be shocked at how good he looks to teams in the coming weeks. But if they trade Allen, it's a lock in my opinion. They're taking Neighbors or Odunze, and even if they don't, there's still a pretty damn good chance, or Bowers, that they're taking one of the. I don't think they pass on an offensive weapon for Herbert at number 5. I think it'd be reckless too. Is it possible they pass on an offensive weapon? Sure, but I think that's what they look to. The receiving class is also loaded, bro. So you could get a Leggett, a Corley, Brian Thomas Jr. won't fall, but like if they traded down or something, they could take him. There's so many players, so many wide receivers. It's a great wide receiver class. You know, McConkey, where does he even go? Parasol. Some say, and I don't necessarily disagree, that Parasol could be better than McConkey. And these two are very similar, and people are trying to compare them in certain ways. But McConkey and Parasol are both very, very good prospects. There's a lot of good weapons in this draft class. So they'll be okay, but I think the word is they may try and trade Keenan Allen, but I don't know if they're going to be able to.
So if they do, like just saying, like they get rid of, you think that they would come away with like more than one wide receiver in the class? Like you think they'll just load up? Because like this wide receiver free agency, it looks like kind of overwhelming because like most of the top guys just got signed. I mean, unless if they want to bring in like a Calvin Ridley or something.
Ridley, Hollywood, Gabe Davis. It's not very deep, but like Hollywood would be a great land for a lot of these teams. He's a fantastic wide receiver to just put in your 2 spot. I think Ridley's a great wide receiver too. He has the potential to be better, but I think he's safer expectation as a wide receiver 2 for a team. But like Ridley and Hollywood are very, very solid. So, tagged, re-signed, Evans, Higgins, Pittman off the board. It's down to Ridley, Hollywood, and Gabe Davis. They got Boyd.
Got Deontay out.
Yeah, Deontay could be available in trade, but these guys are free agents. But yeah, Deontay could potentially be in play, I guess. And if you like brick hands and you want a bunch of drops, then Deontay's your guy.
Yeah, I've heard rumors.
Yeah, I heard he dropped the ball on the trade. Okay,
Talk about it.
We'll see you, Scuba. Appreciate you.
Hey, no problem, man. Hey, yeah, thanks, man. The next one, I'll be sure to come in and hang out with you again and call in. Later, man.
All right, later, bro. Purdue. Final thoughts, Purdue.
No, it's all love, Smitty. No final thoughts. I think this is a great show tonight.
I appreciate you.
A lot of good commentary. So, yeah, keep it up.
All right, Mars Man, Purdue. And, you know, call in anytime. Appreciate you. Later, pal. Mars Man, rock out. Final thoughts, my guy.
Yeah, you think the Patriots are gonna go all in on a rookie, or they could potentially go for Fields?
Guys,
and probably get Neighbors.
What team?
Patriots.
Oh. Neighbors? No, not that high. But if they trade down, yeah.
I'm saying they trade down, they pick up Fields, and then they get Neighbors.
Well, I mean, I'd rather them just get Marvin Harrison at 3, trade for Fields. But let's say let's say they want to get another piece somehow. 3 to what though? I mean, Arizona's taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 if he's there. The Chargers could go Neighbors or a Dunze. The Giants could go Neighbors or a Dunze. So you literally got to move, 2 spots down to ensure you're going to get them. Atlanta could go Neighbors or a Dunze. So I don't know if you want to move. But ultimately, the best solution would be Fields and then draft Marvin Harrison Jr. for either Washington or New England. That's something I'm going to stand by until the end of time. I think it's a solid move. But I will say I love JD5 way more than Fields. So I don't know. I guess I go back and forth, and that's natural, because you start thinking it out. And it's like, man, you could get Leggett, or somebody like that later, and still have JD5. But Fields and Marvin's pretty damn good. I'll probably stand by that. But I still love the idea of JD5 in a second round wide receiver. Not to mention you could bring in like Ridley and.
So if Washington takes JD5, you think Patriots take in May or Paxton?
Yeah, I think so. They could trade, but I do believe that New England's capable of trading if they don't get JD5. The rumors are, and we don't know if they're true, but they're capable of trading down to like 6, 5, 7, 8, whatever, to try and get Penix Jr. or Bo Nix instead of going Drake May. But we don't really know. No one's really gonna tell you what they're gonna do, so everything is hearsay. Everything is speculation. Everything is smoke.
Yeah, everything's up for discussion.
For sure. All right, broski. Appreciate you. All right. Now, Purdue, when I said call back anytime, I didn't mean right away. But what can I do for you again, Purdue? I think this guy's probably got amnesia.
No.
I just want to talk about Cousins.
No, actually, all the talk about my man Brock Bowers. I'm just wondering where you got him in Dynasty. I don't know if you've gone over that in other videos or not, but I haven't seen it, so just curious.
I have.
Where you got him.
I think he's probably my tight end 3 in Dynasty already. But you don't have to draft him that high, obviously.
I'm talking overall, like all positions.
You mean
where do you draft
out of rookies? Like
not like a startup, but just a dynasty. Like
I don't know. After McBride, so the 3rd tight end taken, I guess that would be like in the 40s. Like maybe early. I really have to see the board, like I can't just throw a number out. I have to see the board. How's it falling? I don't think I want him as my 3rd drafted player. I think that's putting the cart before the horse, and you gotta, as much as we want to be first on it, like, oh, I was the guy drafted, like you gotta let him go if he's going to go too high. I think, not correct. Like, it depends on like how close your 4th round pick is. Like, I could see myself going, you know what? I'm not going to get him at the next one, but the guy I could take here could fall and I could swap him. But I mean, I don't know. Tough to know. I think in a startup is harder to answer. I could mainly say he's after McBride. Number 1's Laporta. And then you got like a Kincaid and Bowers.
Sorry, I mean like rookie.
That's what I
only.
said. That's what I said, though.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're talking about the NFL draft, I think he could go 5 to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think he could go to the Giants potentially. He could go to. He's not going to Atlanta, but I would take him. I'd double tight end that Shiat. I don't. Denver could. The Jets could take him. Give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. I mean, that would, but I don't think he'll fall past that area anyway. I think he's such a good prospect. I think if he goes into even the double digits, so even 10, I'd be dumbfounded.
In terms of dynasty rookie draft, where do you think he goes?
Purdue. I want to say. I'll just answer it every possible way I can so I can answer your question.
Sorry, I should have been clear up front. My bad.
Let me see if I can guess again. I would say, okay, is it Superflex Purdue? Let's get that out of the way so you don't say, sorry, for
Superflex.
Is it tight end premium Purdue?
Good call, Smitty.
Is it tight end premium Purdue?
No.
Okay. Do you get points for carries Purdue?
No.
Okay. I honestly, it depends on if you have quarterbacks and all, but I would say, like most people would take like 2 or 3 quarterbacks mixed with Marvin Harrison Jr. and maybe one of the wide receivers. So you're talking like 6, 7, 8 if you're reaching on Bowers.
Top 6, 7.
Yeah, because you're mixing in 3 quarterbacks most likely, maybe even 4 in the top 6 or 7. But like I'm not one to do that. I'm one that usually plans ahead in Superflex. I always have a Mahomes. I've got at least one Mahomes type player, Hurts, Josh Allen, because I don't leave the Superflex startup draft without a stud quarterback. Or I trade for one or whatever.
Yeah.
I rarely ever am like sitting on a Goff and Russell Wilson as my quarterbacks. Then you have to go quarterback and you put yourself in a damn unbelievably awkward position. But I mean, he's gonna go in a one QB, he's gonna go 5. Maybe 5 or 6 in a super flex, like 7, 8, 9, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9. But it just depends.
Yeah.
Like I'm crazy. I don't go off.
I plan like top 4 or 5 quarterbacks first. Harrison somewhere in there.
Adunze,
and then
Neighbors, Bowers.
You never know with the running backs. It's a kind of a dice roll where guys are going to go with their picks. So,
all right.
But
all
yeah.
Right. All right, later, Purdue. Right. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
right,
Smitty. Have a good one.
All right. Purdue. Guy cracks me up. Travis, final thoughts. And guys, after this, I might do a speed round for like 2-3 minutes or something like that. So get your questions ready. Don't ask them yet, but get them typed out. Get ready to hit send. We'll do a speed round where I just answer your question one after the other. We got 193 people in here. Hit that thumb up button. 130 thumbs up. What's up, Travis?
So with this Russell Wilson news, are you buying or selling Pickens in Dynasty? I know it's kind of up in the air for who quarterback could be even in 2025 for Steelers. So there's question marks. But what are you doing with Pickens in Dynasty?
Pickens?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, no one's gonna buy him, and
right.
I mean, would I cut him if I didn't have a better option to pick up? Like, no, but I mean,
it's just too many question marks, right? Because we don't know who's going to be quarterback there even past this season. It's just kind of a hold.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what's Dorian Thompson-Robinson's contract, DTR, in Cleveland.
Well, this was his rookie year, I think. So he's got a few years.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was.
He's got 3 years left.
Let me just pull up his.
He wasn't a first-round pick.
I just wasn't sure if he was even drafted or because I forget. I'll tell you what. I'd rather have him than Pickett because they're both a backup now.
No, not Pickett. Pickens. George Pickens.
Pickens. Okay, I got you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
I said Pickett. You
mumbled
said
that.
yeah. So I thought okay. Pickens.
I misheard you.
I think, but for anybody looking to answer that question, I kind of like DTR a little bit.
DTR is interesting.
Because I mean
he's actually he's the Browns' way out. Actually.
Yeah. We were talking about that the other day. We are saying like they need to go find their Purdy.
Yeah.
They may have him in DTR. Who knows?
Right.
As far as Pickens, I'd say. The thing about Pickens, man, is he reminds me of a lesser risky Kadarius Toney. It's not that he's going that he's obviously proven he had a great year. He was a moon man, for goodness sake. We loved him. Okay, so there's no doubt or hatred toward the guy, but he seems a little bit of a concern. Like I feel like I wonder if he's very diva-like already. Like he's very entitled right now, and he's about to walk into a shitstorm, and with Arthur Smith and usage and not being used enough, and I just wonder how he's going to hold up. If he can get through this year and grow and be pretty composed, I think walking into his next year, we might see him take a big leap if he gets a new coordinator, or let's say Arthur Smith works out and I'm wrong. Then I think I could see him being an elite wide receiver too. I don't know that I feel like he's in the top 12 yet, but he's like borderline. Like he talent-wise, he's in the top 12. Like he's one of the top 12 most talented, gifted, physically gifted receivers in the league. I just don't know if I feel like there's enough security there to even remotely rank him near a low-end wide receiver 1, like even wide receiver 12. I don't think you can do it. There's too many receivers. There's even Tank Dell and Nico together. Like there's so many receivers that are just, and then even the older guys like, Tyreek Hill, you're not gonna devalue Tyreek Hill to that level yet. He's still, even if he had a year and a half left, I think he says he's gonna retire after 2 more years. Was it 2 or 3? Even if Hill came out tomorrow and said, if Hill came out tomorrow and said, I'm playing just 2 more years. And then I'm done. I'm retiring. I guarantee it. I still draft him over Pickens in a dynasty, just because 2 years is a long time.
Right. Oh yeah. Yep. And like I was saying, we don't know who Pittsburgh quarterback is in 2025 even. So there's still a question mark there.
I'm a little bummed that Russell Wilson isn't on a long-term deal and that they don't have a different coordinator. I don't know.
Yeah.
All
right. Thanks, Smitty.
All right, Travis. Appreciate it. Later. All right, Ron Navy, final thoughts.
Yeah, this is how I see it going down in Pittsburgh. Just like when they brought in Trubisky, they gave him a bunch of money, so they had to start him. They're going to do the same thing this year, even though Russell's there. It's a $1 million insurance policy. They're going to start Pickett. If Pickett fails, then they'll give Russell his chance. But it's going to be Pickett starting for the Steelers this year. Because they're going to. They want to make sure.
I'll make you a challenge wager. That Wilson starts week 1.
All right.
What do you want to do?
What do you want? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know what kind of shape I'll be in when the season starts. So I'm just saying, if you look at Pittsburgh, the way they do things, they want to make sure that either Pickett is their future or he's not their future. He's going to go in starting, just like when they signed Trubisky, and I was all pissed off because Pickett wasn't getting a chance. But they started Trubisky. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to bring in Russell as a security, and he'll get his shot if Pickens doesn't perform.
I'll tell you what. Make it reasonable. Like I have to agree to it. So make it reasonable. Not like I'm gonna pluck my eyelashes one by one, or get a real tattoo or anything like that. Like, make it reasonable, and you tell me what it is, and you just drop any super chat you want. It could be $10, whatever. But I want to put this out there because I do not think Pickett start week 1. It could be do push-ups until I can't do them anymore on a live stream. It could be do my live stream on the overpass of a freeway. like anything. You just tell me. We'll see if it's reasonable, and I'll do it.
Yeah, well, and I'm reading Travis saying there's 100% Russell Wilson's the starter. He agrees with you. I'm going off of what Pittsburgh does, and that's how Pittsburgh does things.
Well, it's a small challenge. It's not a big deal.
But I'm kind of tired, so
okay.
We'll figure it out.
Think about it. All right.
But the way Pittsburgh is, that's what they'll end up doing. There's every reason for. They want to bring him in, but Pickett will start.
I kind of feel like he made this a contingent part of the deal, though. Otherwise, he would have said, "I'm waiting to sign." That's why I think I'm going to win the bet.
They wanted to bring in. Their whole thing is they said they were going to bring in competition for him, and I still believe Pickett has the skill set. I don't think he has the coaches. I think if Pickett would have went to a team that had good developing quarterback coaches, you'd maybe see a different side of Pickett than you see right now.
I hear you. I hear you,
he has
but
the capability.
I hear you.
I know he has the capability.
But if you're Russell Wilson, though, Ron, and you can go anywhere you want, really. I mean, not anywhere, but you're not going to sign with Pittsburgh unless they tell you you're the starter.
Russell Wilson sees butterflies anyways. He talks to himself. Do you think he's all in the right of mind? He's not in the right of mind.
That's a good point.
They just send him over to the field to collect butterflies.
You signing a deal. He's like, what do you guys think? Should we do it? And the imaginary friends are like, sign it. I have a good feeling about this one. You like Arthur? He's got a cool mustache. All right, done deal.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I don't want to start. I want to earn it. Steeler. Well, hey, Ron, you get to now say Steeler country. Let's ride.
No, thank you.
All right, I gotta go. Appreciate you. And
later.
All right, later.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Steeler country, let's ride. I hung up on him. All right, hey, speed round. Let's do it now.
It is time for the speed question and answer segment.
Get your questions ready. No long paragraphs. I'm not reading paragraphs. I'm reading just short, like 1 line, maybe 2 line questions. Do it live. Let me change this timer over to about, we'll call it 5 minutes. We'll do 5 minutes. Timer begins right. Let's see. Go right now. Do it live. Smitty, what's this say? What tattoo are you getting? Where's my sound? There we go. What tattoo? Hold on, let me restart this.
It is time for the speed question.
There we go. There's my sound. 4 minutes and 41 seconds left. Hit me with it. Who's getting into Dynasty? Smitty, it's too long. Any advice for getting into a Dynasty league for the first time? I'll have some videos on that, but draft. Don't be afraid to mix and draft like Tyreek Hill and guys to go win it now. Don't draft all youth, bro. But draft a good amount of it. Javonte, receivers too. Receivers and quarterbacks, because they last longer, are a little bit better of a lean. Zamir White, Javonte, give me Zamir White. I think Zeus is gonna have a big season. Let's see here. Have your way. What's your favorite landing spot for the top 3 receivers? I would say Arizona for Marvin Harrison Jr. Neighbors for Neighbors for Chargers and Odunze to Atlanta, and then they trade for Fields. All right, let's go. Remember Pickens or Addison in Dynasty. Probably Addison. Only because when Pickens gets his long-term situation buttoned up, I think I could say, but I have more faith in Addison being consistent. Did anyone mention that Baker re-signed with the Bucks for 3 years? Ray G, we went live on it immediately when it happened. There's a full hour plus live stream on it. Absolutely. What do I look like? A complete imbecile, Ray. Ray, I love you. I love you, Ray. I did not mean that at you. I just mean, do I look like, I'll be honest, do I look like one? Do I look like the kind of guy that would go live for an hour and a half on a big piece of news like that, Ray? You know me better than that. Ray to the moon. I can't send you to Saturn or it's going to restart my clock. But Ray, appreciate you. Addison, the better wide receiver. I just think he's in a better spot right now. Ray, you know I'm just joking with you, right? Ray's my boy. Ray G for the $100 million. Ray G's a unicorn, by the way. So Ray's dropped loads all over the place. He gets to say whatever he wants. Ray, appreciate you. Diggs or Pickens redraft? That's a good one. I'm going to say Diggs. As much as I feel like he's maybe past his prime, where does he end up? If he stays in Buffalo, he still gets force-fed. He had an amazing start to the year. I'm kind of like circling back to wanting Diggs at cost. Because the cost is really low. The cost is Pickens. You know, if Diggs had to be had in like the top 12 or something, I wouldn't be on board. But you're getting him later. You know, he's going sometimes in the second round though, which he was going later on. You know what I mean? Ray, appreciate you, bro. Rachaad White or Kenny Walker? We talked about that earlier today. It was a good question. I said Rachaad White right now until we know what is going on in that running back room in Seattle under Ryan Grubb's command. I might like Kenneth Walker more if he says something like, we're going to run this guy for 1,500 yards. You know, you remember when Godwin was going to be a starter and we didn't know what he was going to be, and your boy put him on the bold prediction list. I said Godwin's a 6-7 round league winner. And everyone's like, Godwin? I don't know. And then was it Arians who came out and said, it might have been the OC, I forget. He came out and said, Godwin's going to catch 100 balls. And everyone's like, what the? And all of a sudden, Godwin skyrocketed to the top of round 3. And then he still played higher than that. He outplayed that. Godwin had an amazing year that year. That's what we need out of Kenneth Walker talk. If a Kenneth Walker rumor emerges that says we're going to feed this man, he's going to be one of the best backs in the league, something positive, then I'm all in on Kenny Walker comparative value here. But I think right now Rachaad White has a slight edge. AR5 or JD5. Long-term JD5, AR5 for year 1. But I think JD5 is capable of being as good. It just depends. AR or Burrow and redraft, I'd say pretty dead even. In so much so that in 2 different leagues, I'd go 1 and 1 and 1 in the other. If I was on the clock in both leagues, I want to mix it up. They're that close. Considering Diggs forgets how to play football halfway through the year, Pickens, you know, I'm not saying it's not close, but I would probably go Diggs, I suppose. Plus, the trade value is a little higher for Diggs. You can draft Diggs and then trade him. You know what I mean? Ridley or Hollywood, I'll probably go. Landing spot's going to determine. If I had to pick now, I'd probably say Hollywood. I guess Ridley by a hair, but I have a feeling Hollywood's not. You know what I mean? I just have a bad feeling. We'll see where Ridley goes. I'm a little worried about where he goes. That is all she wrote. Appreciate you guys doing a little speed round session with your boy. And for those that joined, that was a quick 5 minutes. I'll have to do 10 minutes next time. For those that joined late, where's Ray G? I hope Ray G didn't take offense. Ray G, tell me you didn't take offense to that. Ray G, go watch the Baker live. And then for those of you coming late to this one, Russell Wilson can't be official, but reportedly agreed to terms. He's going to get paid $1.2 million. Could he back out? Yeah. I mean, remember when Kingsbury was going to go here and then he pulls out and goes here? So the old Kingsbury move. I mean, Russell Wilson, nothing can be agreed upon officially, so who the hell knows? You know, like you almost wonder why teams this breaks like this, and then you're like, why would somebody reveal it? If somebody really wanted Russell Wilson, couldn't they just go right over and go, Russell Wilson, Red Rover, send Dangerous Russ right over? You know, hey, Russ, we got more imaginary friends over here than they've got over there. You know, you can high five the whole lot of them exiting the tunnel if you come over here, pal. It was a time change, got here late. Appreciate you, Ray G. I just want you to know that. Sometimes when I say something like that, I don't know how people take it. I'm just joking with you, bro. Definitely watch it. You'll like the show. Ray G to the moon. I let me tuck you in at night. If you missed the earlier show, let that show be your guide tonight to a nice little bedtime storytelling. I am fading Cooper Kupp hard right now, says Huffman. You know what? I'm not. You know why I'm not? Because his ADP is ridiculously free. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole different thing. If he was going around 2-3, sure. Eckler is going in 2-3. If Henry was going 2-3, yeah. Henry goes to Dallas, though. Probably won't get him in the 4th round anymore, though. So start drafting now. Go to Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. For those that don't know, if you use this code now and sign up, you'll be ready to go when we do all of our drafts. We haven't really started yet. We're going to do tons of drafts for the 2024 season. And if you hit that code right now, let me pin it in the live chat. If you hit this code right now and sign up, you'll be ready to go. It takes just a couple minutes. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. You'll be ready to rumble on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. So please hit the code now. Hit the link. Use code Smitty. The description has the link in it as well if you're watching the replay. And you'll want to get on board that, because we're going to be doing draft after draft after draft, marathon drafts, and you'll see Cup going like, I don't know what, I think like round 5, 6, 7, something like that. He's all over the place, but almost 200 in here. This is late. Got to go for another hour at this point, says Postman. Probably not. I mean, we'll be live a lot of the time. Jimmy, breaking news show tomorrow a.m. Jimmy, I go live, as Huffman said. If news breaks, I go live. I'm live 8 p.m. every single day, Jimmy. 8 p.m. Eastern every single day, Monday through Friday, every weekday. And then I'm live additionally whenever any big news breaks. Baker signed. I went live earlier today. Russ deal announcement happened, and it's a 2-hour and 32-minute live stream. Here we are. Appreciate you all. On that note,
Leave it on the fields.
Just in time.
Fields of dreams.
Fields like making love.
Outstanding in his fields.
Fields so good.
Fields general. My fields good. Uneven playing fields.
Battlefields tested.
Fields. He's for reals.
See you all later. Again, I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Rain or shine, live whenever big news breaks, like this show right here. Thank you, Space Ricky and Travis Rowe and all my mods that are in the building. Peace out. Steelers country, let's ride.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the Bruce's mother.
Get Bijan.
Lift off of mission 3, 2, 1, 0.
Legend has it, if you say Saint Brown 3 times in the dark in the bathroom, you will immediately lose your league.
See you later. Appreciate you all.